Everyone has a mask, but some are heavier than others. Meet Heike Waku, social disaster, former shut-in, and currently standing next to the most intimidating girl in school. Towering over them is the face of the nation, the ultra-cool model Akari. It's a world of high-fashion personas, and Waku is just trying to survive his first day without a panic attack. On the street, the talk is nothing but Akarin. She's thin, she's sophisticated, and her cool persona is the gold standard for every girl in the city. Her fans pore over every unedited photo like it's scripture, desperate to catch a glimpse of the goddess behind the glass. That stoic, untouchable gaze. It's a mask so perfect it has become a brand. But as the school bell rings, that brand is about to collide with a very messy reality. The classroom door rattles open, and the teacher introduces the new transfer, Heike-kun. Waku stands there, heart hammering against his ribs, while 30 pairs of eyes start dissecting him instantly. Everyone please get along with him, the teacher says, but Waku can already hear the gears turning. He's a genius. He's a delinquent. He's a moron from a school for idiots. The rumors are hitting him from every angle, and Waku is vibrating with the effort to stay upright. First impressions are everything, and his is currently going up in flames. He opens his mouth to speak, but only a strangled comes out. Then comes the interrogation. A girl with glasses demands the truth about his transfer, while others bet 1,000 yen on him being a former thug. Waku stares back, his brain short-circuiting as they speculate if he's a victim of deep trauma or just a bad kid. He's looking for an exit, but he's pinned to the spot by the sheer lack of manners. The girl with the black-streaked hair and lip piercings tells the class to knock it off, but Waku is too far gone. He's surrounded by weirdos. Then, the door slides open again. A hush falls as a girl steps in, her long black hair shimmering. "I apologize for being late," she offers, her voice as flat and cool as a marble floor. Waku freezes. It's her, Oura-san. She carries an aura that stops the air in the room, her blunt bangs and sharp eyes mirroring the famous model Akari to a terrifying degree. She doesn't just walk, she glides, an untouchable shadow in a school uniform. She turns, and for a split second, Waku thinks he's being hunted. Her expression is a total void, unreadable and cold. He shrinks into his seat, his only thought echoing in his head. What a scary person. The whispers start immediately about how she's just as cute as her sister, or how they don't even live together anymore. Waku is trying to process who Akarin even is when his sharp-tongued classmate leans in, a cynical grin on her face. "So, Mr. Transfer, let's hear it. Former delinquent, right?" Waku's pulse spikes. He's had enough. He snaps, "Not interested in interacting with any of you in any way, so leave me alone." The words are out before he can stop them, echoing through the stunned silence. He doesn't wait for a reaction. He bolts, feet pounding against the linoleum as he screams internally at his own idiocy. Trudging down the stairs, Waku feels the weight of his failure. This was supposed to be a fresh start. He used to be a prodigy, but high school academics crushed him until he spent a year hiding in his room as a hikikomori. He transferred here to be born anew, but his first day is already a car crash. The cafeteria is a battlefield of laughter he isn't part of. He fills his cup noodles at the hot water station, ignoring the eyes of the other students, and retreats to the quietest place on campus, the equipment storage shed. It smells like dust and old gym mats, perfect for a social pariah. He lets the noodles sit too long, but in a crisis, you need carbs and grease. He's slurping away, the dopamine oozing in his brain, when the door creaks. He freezes. A silhouette enters, sniffing the air with intent. It's Oura-san, the ice queen herself, prowling the shed for the source of the smell. "I smell something good." The stoic mask is cracked. She stares at the cheap styrofoam cup in his hand, like it's a holy relic. Waku is trembling, his secret lunch exposed, while Oura-san stands there, her face flushing as she admits, "I want to try them." Waku offers the cup, expecting a trap, but she takes it with a quiet thank you. Then, she dives in. The sound of her slurping fills the tiny shed, her eyes closed in pure bliss. Waku watches, heart racing, wondering if this is a normal high school thing, or if he's just witness to a miracle. That was an indirect kiss. Waku is internally screaming, his face a bright red mess. But Oura-san is in another world. She's on a strict diet because of her sister's image, and this is the first time she's ever tasted instant ramen. She's a celebrity shadow starving for a bit of salt. She offers him her pristine, untouched bento in exchange. It's a girl's lunch, perfectly arranged and expensive. Then she tries to laugh to lighten the mood. Fuhaha, she says, followed by a nahaha. It's the most awkward sound Waku has ever heard, a mechanical attempt at joy. Then she lets out a de ha-ha. It's a wide-mouthed, soul-crushing attempt at a cool expression that lands miles away from its target. Waku stares, his eyes lunchbox wide, witnessing the death of a reputation in real time. You suck at smiling, Waku blunts out. She nods, admitting she's practicing because she was so expressionless in class. It turns out she transferred 2 months ago and hasn't made a single friend. She hides in the shed every day, just like him. 2 social ghosts sharing a meal in the dark. She explains that her sister is a model whose selling point is being cool, since half the class are fans. Oura-san feels she has to act the part so she doesn't disappoint them. She's suppressing her whole personality to protect her sister's brand. Why are you telling me all of this? Waku asks. He's a stranger, a mess, yet she's pouring out the secret that keeps her isolated. She looks at him with those deep dark eyes, the most important thing being that people keep supporting her sister. Waku blunders out that she reminds him of a stuffed animal he has at home. It's a weird compliment, but it works, she declares. Heike-kun is friend number 1. Waku's heart does a backflip. He tried to push everyone away, but he's just been bamboozled into a genuine connection. I'm so happy about it though. He's glowing, his face flushed with the kind of warmth he hasn't felt in a year. Starting over at a new school was a dream, but he never expected to find someone who needed him to see through their mask. Sitting there with her, Waku finds himself wanting to try harder, not for his own sake, but for hers. Back home that night, the silence of his room feels different. He's not hiding anymore, he's planning. Morning comes, and the school building looms ahead. Waku takes a breath and rattles the classroom door open. No more hiding in the storage shed. Today, he's taking the stage. Hey, he's sweating, his eyes swirling with panic, but he forces the words out. The pierced girl and Yumaru look on, confused by the transfer student's sudden outburst. He's doing this for her. I want to do this. I think we should have some sort of social gathering and we should invite Oura-san too, the shout echoes, sharp and sudden. Oura-san looks up, her stoic facade perfectly intact, but Waku is staring straight at her, begging for a right, to make it real. The silence is agonizing. Then Oura-san speaks, I'll go. The room explodes. If the Ice Queen is going, then everyone is in. Yumaru is practically vibrating with excitement. Waku stands there, stunned that his reckless plan actually worked. Thank you. She tries that cool smile again, the one that looks like a robot suffering a power surge. Waku's only thought, it's so bad, Yumaru is horrified, unable to believe her idol sister could be so uncool. But the social gathering is a go. Waku watches her. She should be free to smile however she wants, shouldn't she? Even if it's weird. Even if it breaks the image. Yumaru is still having a meltdown over the cool sister's reputation being at stake. The pierced girl confirms the party is a go, and the group scatters. Waku walks out into the sunset, the school building fading behind him. He's exhausted, but for the first time in a year, he isn't lonely. The power lines hum overhead as he navigates the quiet neighborhood streets. Suddenly, footsteps, rapid, rhythmic thumping on the pavement. Someone is running. Oura-san skids to a halt in front of him, huffing, her face a bright, beautiful red. Thank you. About the gathering. She's gasping for air, her stoic mask completely forgotten in her rush to find him. She starts wriggling her fingers in anticipation, a weird nervous tic that Waku can't look away from. Don't worry about it, he says, but she panics, thinking he's pushing himself too hard for her sake. The air between them is thick with clumsy, honest effort. So are you always like that? He asks. She goes quiet, her expression smoothing back into that emotionless void. Well, according to everyone else, that's the real me. She's resigned to it, a ghost haunting her own life. Waku looks at her, really looks at her. It isn't just about preserving an image. Beneath the cold, emotionless exterior, she looks so unbearably sad. He can see the girl who just wanted to eat noodles in a shed, trapped by the world's expectations. He can't help it. He blurts it out, his face heating up like a stove. "I like it better when you smile. Like when you ate that ramen with me. I like it better when you smile." It's an admission that hits like a physical blow. She freezes, her eyes widening. A genuine flush creeps up her neck. Then she starts to laugh, not a mechanical na-ha-ha, but a real bubbling ga-ha-ha. She pulls at her cheeks, promising to do her best starting tomorrow. "Can I really change?" she asks. Waku doesn't hesitate. "You can. I also came to this school because I really want to change myself." Two people who were lost, finally finding a direction in each other. "Then we're the same," she beams. It's a real smile. No mask, no persona, just a girl who found her first friend. It's bright enough to drown out the sunset. Waku watches her walk away, his heart still thumping. He has a secret now. The truth is he's already beginning to change, and it's all because he met her. She waves one last time, a tiny silhouette against the massive city skyline. The world is still big and scary, but the shed is empty because they're finally out in the light. Meanwhile, in a luxury lounge, the legendary Akari is being interviewed. "How do you normally behave?" they ask. She smiles her perfect practiced smile. "This has become natural for me," she says. But then, she mentions a new food she tried recently. The interviewer leans in, curious about the sophisticated new hobby. Akari looks directly into the camera, her eyes sparkling with a secret only she and a storage shed duo know: cup noodles. The sisters are more alike than the world will ever realize. The world feels a little lighter this morning. One shared secret in a storage shed, and suddenly, the bus stop isn't just a place to wait, it's the starting line for a brand new name. While the rest of the world sees a high-rise goddess, Akari is currently locked in a battle of wills with a plate of gourmet pasta. Her manager leans in, worried about the pristine model's lack of appetite. "You haven't touched your dinner, Akari-chan. Is everything all right?" Akari doesn't blink. She just offers a perfect, empty yes. She's playing the role of the iron-willed professional to perfection, even if her stomach is screaming for a cup of cheap salt and noodles. To the world, she's a masterpiece of self-control. To her manager, she's a legend who lives up to her reputation. To herself, she's just a girl waiting for her next secret cheat day. 7 a.m. hits like a physical blow. After a year of being a shut-in, the sound of an alarm isn't a reminder, it's a threat. Heike groans under the covers, fighting the gravitational pull of his bed and the crushing anxiety of another day at school. He forces himself upright, a bleary-eyed warrior against his own habits. "I'm awake," he shouts, but the real shock is the reaction from the other side of the door. The house is in a state of absolute disbelief. Oni-I is awake. What in the holy? His housemates look at him like they've just seen a unicorn in school uniform. Hell hasn't just frozen over, it's currently being served a massive bowl of celebratory rice. They're moving at double speed, packing him a lunch because the prodigal transfer student is actually trying to be a person today. But there's one thing missing from his new life: a first name. He scans the class roster, eyes catching on the kanji for Oura. Is that how you read it? Oura-shu? His housemate stares him down with a mix of pity and judgment, begging him to just act normal for 5 consecutive minutes. The walk to school is a gauntlet of overhead wires and internal monologues. Heike keeps his head down, clutching his bag like a shield, moving through the neighborhood he spent a year hiding from. The sun is out, the world is moving, and he's finally part of it again. He barely makes it through the door before the social piranhas start circling. Yumeru and the pierced girl are already on duty, scanning his frantic eyes for the target. Oura-san isn't here yet. If that's who you're looking for. Heike's brain short-circuits as he tries to play it cool and fails spectacularly. Yumeru leans in, full of chaotic energy. Are you a fan of Akarin? Are you two-timing them? Heike's eyes go dinner plate wide. Two-timing? He's barely survived 1 day of social interaction, and now he's being accused of a multi-level fan war. Turns out, in the weird ecosystem of this school, two-timing just means you support both famous sisters. Yumeru is practically vibrationally excited about the social gathering Heike proposed. But then the door slides open, the temperature drops. The stoic legend herself has arrived. Oura-san stands there, a pillar of unshakable cool. Heike, sensing the weight of their secret bond, stammers out a greeting. "Good morning." Her response is a flat, perfectly measured good morning. The classroom holds its breath, watching the transfer student interact with the untouchable idol. Behind that expressionless face, Heike can see the gears grinding. She's trying so hard to play the part he asked for, to integrate, to be normal. But to everyone else, she looks like she's about to issue a formal decree. Heike clenches his fist, silently cheering her on. She's fighting her own battle right in front of them. And just like that, the trap is set. Karaoke. To a former shut-in, a karaoke room is basically a brightly lit interrogation chamber. Heike feels his soul leaving his body, singing, in front of people. He hasn't even mastered the art of ordering a drink without stuttering. Oura-san admits she has zero experience with karaoke, and Heike, in a moment of panicked solidarity, shouts out, "Zilk, it's a weird word, a loud word," and it immediately makes him the center of attention again. He's trying to be her anchor, even if he's currently drowning. Yumaru thinks his vocabulary is the funniest thing since sliced bread, while Oura-san is currently deflating like a sad balloon. The cool persona is hanging on by a thread. Heike's loud mouth just might have saved her image, or ruined his own. It's hard to tell in the chaos. The pierced girl leans back, her eyes sharp and knowing. Everyone here has their reasons. It's the same with you, right? She's the only one who sees through the frantic comedy to the genuine fear underneath. Heike looks over at Oura-san, wondering what her real reasons are for hiding behind that mask. The roster is set. You've got the energetic fan, the cynical observer, the straight-laced academic, and the cool guys. And then there's Aura. She stands at the board, her presence alone commanding the room, yet she looks like she's miles away. Heike's brain is stuck on one loop, and your given name? He's her only confidant, her secret noodle-sharing partner, and he doesn't even know what to call her. He's itching to ask, but the classroom is a minefield of judging eyes. When the other guys try to charm her, she shuts them down with a single, icy word. Her distance is her armor. Heike watches from the sidelines, realizing that even though he knows her secret, he's still standing on the other side of a very tall wall. Lunchtime. The storage room, their private sanctuary away from the cool expectations. Oura-san finally lets out a massive sigh. "Phew, I worked hard. I did good." She fixes her eyes on him, practically begging for a gold star. Heike can't believe how quickly she switches from Ice Queen to a needy kitten. Heike finds the courage to be honest. "It's clear you put a lot of effort behind that smile." She freezes, her cheeks dusting over with pink. Then she flips the script, praising him for talking to people in class. Now it's his turn to short-circuit, his face heating up like a furnace. She points a finger, a genuine mischievous grin breaking through. "You're blushing." Heike practically barks in frustration. "I mean, yeah, so what? It's embarrassing. He came here to be her protector, but she's the one knocking him off balance." They settle into their lunch, the tension giving way to comfortable bento boxes. But even here, Akari's influence looms. Aura mentions that her sister says wheat flour is bad for the body, a reminder of the strict, joyless diet she's forced to maintain. Heike watches her eat, his heart aching for the girl trapped in a model's shadow. He can't take it anymore. The question is burning a hole in his tongue. "Oura-san, what's yours?" He stammers through guesses. "Aki? Shu," his face redder than his lunch. Her gaze locks onto him, startled, the silence stretching between them until it's almost loud. Oura-san's face goes beet red. She isn't just going to tell him. No, she's declaring quiz time. She makes him turn around and demands he take off his jacket. Heike is completely bewildered. "Are we in grade school again?" he asks, but he's already complying, his heart hammering against his ribs. Then her finger touches his shirt. It's light, just a trace, but it feels like a lightning strike. Heike freezes, his eyes wide and unseeing as she carefully swipes the strokes of her name across his back. He's supposed to be guessing, but his brain is currently just a mess of static and the feeling of her proximity. She finishes with a flourish, looking proud. Heike is just screaming internally. "Hooah!" he yells, his face a disaster zone of embarrassment. When she asks what she wrote, his honesty is brutal. "I have no idea." Oura-san huffs, determined to make this work. She starts to slide her own jacket off. "You can write the answer here." Heike's eyes nearly pop out of his skull. She's exposing her back to him, the white shirt thin and revealing. "What?" He stammers, the air in the storage room suddenly very thin. "Is that a thing I'm allowed to do?" Heike's hands are shaking in midair. He's an idiot. She's an idiot. They're both social disasters currently experiencing a level of intimacy they weren't remotely prepared for. Oura-san is hunched over, her own face burning, the silence charged with a terrifying, wonderful electricity. Saved by the bell, the chime cuts through the tension like a knife, and they scramble to get back to the world of classrooms and cliques. But as they walk down the hallway, the question is still hanging in the air. Heike can't let it go. She stops, leans in close, her breath warm against his ear, her hair brushing his shoulder. The world around them disappears. She whispers it, soft and final. It's Minori. Heike just stares. The sound of it, Minori, echoes in his head. It's not just a name, it's a secret he gets to keep. The distance between the transfer student and the cool sister has just vanished. The reason he fought his own anxiety, the reason he dragged himself out of bed, it was because he wanted to know more about her. The girl who eats cup noodles in storage sheds and worries about her sister's reputation. Minori. She turns her eyes toward him, a genuine wide-eyed smile finally breaking through the mask. Waku. Heike feels like his heart is going to beat out of his chest. Hearing her say his name makes the entire struggle of the last year feel worth it. They share a moment of pure, unadulterated happiness before the school day ends. The sky turns to a bruised orange, and the world outside the storage room feels a little less intimidating. They aren't just classmates anymore. They're Minori and Waku. They're walking home together, the path they shared yesterday feeling more familiar now. But the social awkwardness isn't dead yet. Heike stammers about not having clothes for karaoke. I don't have any clothes to wear to karaoke. He wants to crawl into a hole, but Oura-san's eyes light up. Then we'll buy some, she declares it with the authority of a general. Heike balks, his anxiety spiking. He tries to back out, but she's already turning away. Her feelings hurt. And here I thought I would go shopping with you, but fine. Be that way, I quit. Heike panics. My bad, okay? Let's go. She turns back, a small, triumphant smile playing on her lips. Heike realizes he just accidentally agreed to a shopping date. His brain is screaming. He was just going with the flow, but he said something incredible. He's going out with Minori. They part ways at the corner, the promise hanging between them. That's a promise, got it. She looks back, her eyes shining with something more than just diet-starved relief. Heike nods, his voice finally steady. I promise. As Heike walks back, the city lights begin to hum. Miles away, in a world of cameras and makeup, the other sister is living her own performance. The sisters are divided by fame, but tonight, they're both thinking of promises. Akari is in the makeup chair, her face a canvas for another shoot. Her staff is shocked she actually ate her whole dinner. It's my cheat day, she lies, her eyes fixed on her own reflection. She tells them she's dieting because she's fat, the same crushing pressure she puts on Minori, reflected back at her. But her mood is surprisingly light. Her assistant notices she seems to be having a good time today. Akari's gaze softens. We made a promise. She's thinking of the storage shed, of the boy who saw her without the makeup, and the shared hunger that finally made her feel human. She looks down, her cheeks flushing with the same warmth Minori felt. It's my first time making a promise to go out somewhere with a friend. The city skyline looms large, but for the first time in a long time, the legendary Akari doesn't feel alone in it. Somewhere, a shopping date is waiting, and a secret is starting to grow. Chapter 3. A Sleepless Night. The Ice Queen stands alone under a pale umbrella, a perfect, untouchable image that's about to be shattered by a simple shopping trip. The city sleeps, but Heike Waku is currently losing a war against his own closet. He stares at a pile of fabric that screams middle schooler and realizes he has absolutely nothing for a date or whatever this disaster is supposed to be. He's spiraling, stuck in the mindset of a shut-in who hasn't bought a new shirt in years. Then the door swings open and his sister May delivers the killing blow before he can even explain. She looks at his best options and just sighs. Lame. May is ready to send him out in gym clothes until she realizes this isn't a hangout with the guys. Heike can't even say the word, but his blushing face gives him away. It's a girl, and suddenly May is on a mission to save her brother from social suicide. The realization hits May like a physical blow. Her awkward brother was actually invited out. She doesn't know who this girl is, but she's already a fan. I might not have a clue what's going on, but clearly this girl has a heart of gold. May takes over the wardrobe, but Heike is left with the hardest part, the plan. He tries to imagine Oura-san in something other than her uniform, and his brain just flatlines. If he wants her to be comfortable, he needs a solid itinerary. He's got the times, he's got the food court, he's even picked a bakery. It's a perfect plan with one massive glaring flaw. He doesn't actually have Oura-san's phone number. Next morning at school, and Heike is a walking zombie. He spent all night staring at an empty contact list, and the bags under his eyes are deep enough to carry his groceries. Yumaru is vibrating with her usual energy, but the news is grim. Oura-san is absent, again. The pierced girl notes she's out a lot lately, leaving Heike to wonder if she's sick or just drowning in the work May mentioned. He heads to the storage shed alone, opening his lunch in the silence that used to be their shared secret. Every bite of rice just tastes like a missed opportunity. The door creaks. A shadow falls across the floor, and the Ice Queen herself walks in like she didn't just skip half the day. She lets out a long, happy sigh. There's just something about eating lunch in the storage shed that makes it delicious. He nearly chokes on his lunch, but the panic is quickly replaced by pure relief. She actually made it just for the break. When he tells her he was worried, the stoic mask cracks for a split second, a soft pink dusting her cheeks. She explains that her absences are work-related, modeling for her sister, which makes her agreement to go shopping even more incredible. Heike's brain is spinning. This is it, the hurdle every socially anxious teen fears, asking for her line. He stammers, his face turning a shade of red that should be medically impossible. He forces the words out into the dusty air. "Would you please give me your line?" She freezes, her eyes wide, before admitting she's been sitting there wondering the exact same thing. She's surprisingly smooth about it, pulling out her phone with a confident "show me your QR code." Meanwhile, Heike is mentally digging through a year of social isolation just to remember how the app even works. They lean in. The space between them disappears, filled with the scent of soap and the low hum of the shed. One simple tap on a screen, and the distance between them feels smaller than ever. He can feel her warmth radiating through his uniform. He's looking at her screen, but all he can see is the curve of her cheek and the way her hair catches the dim light. She whispers, really close, and his heart decides to try and exit his chest through his throat. The tension snaps like a live wire. They both scramble backward, faces flaming, looking anywhere but at each other. The silence of the shed is suddenly replaced by the deafening sound of two people, aggressively trying to act normal. Oura-san is so flustered, she literally knocks over a stack of equipment with a loud crash. To hide her embarrassment, she dives into her phone and starts sticker bombing him, an endless stream of cute animals and weird mascots filling his screen. It's official. The text lands. "Does this Sunday work for our shopping trip?" Her reply is a simple sure, but the barrage of puppy stickers says everything her stoic expression won't. She admits it openly. He's the first non-family member she's ever added. She's rocking back and forth with pure, unadulterated pride, demanding more praise for her successful social interaction. He watches her, phone clutched to her chest, wearing a smile so bright it feels dangerous to look at. She whispers, "I did it," and Heike realizes how incredibly easy it would be to misunderstand her stoic act for something other than pure, sweet loneliness. The weekend arrives, and while Heike prepares for his outing, the city is already moving. Far away from their quiet storage shed, the glamorous world of Akari is in full swing. On the street, fans are whispering. They see Akarin, the perfect, thin, adorable model who bows politely and maintains the image. They have no idea that this perfect girl is governed by the same crushing pressure she puts on her younger sister. Phones are out, cameras are clicking, and the public gaze is everywhere. Back at the house, the stars are out, and one boy is currently staring at his ceiling, realizing his quiet life is about to get very, very public. Heike is a mess. His heart is rhythmically stabbing his ribs, a frantic bid MP that's keeping him wide awake. He stares at his phone, his stomach doing somersaults. Am I feeling nervous? I'm gonna puke. Morning light finally breaks, and Heike is barely holding it together. He's headed for a place he's never been before. Not just the city, but this level of social pressure. He looks at his reflection and sees a guy about to walk into a beautiful disaster. He's 10 minutes early, standing at the station in the outfit May painstakingly put together. He looks like a different person. Oversized sweater, trendy bag, a look his sister promised would make him look 10 times better than normal. Too bad he feels 10 times more awkward. Then, he sees her. A girl in a cap and wide-leg jeans moving through the crowd with an effortless grace that stops his breath. She bows to someone, a habit even in civilian clothes, and then her eyes find his. The Ice Queen has been replaced by a girl who looks like she stepped out of a high-fashion magazine. The fluffy white sweater, the perfectly fitted denim, she is stunning. Heike's internal monologue is just one long scream. My heart's going to explode. She approaches with a shy, scripted "Sorry, were you waiting long?" Heike can only stammer a response, but she admits with a small blush that she always wanted to try saying that. She's following the rom-com script, and she's doing it perfectly. They start walking, and the tension begins to melt. She's vibrating with excitement, admitting she never meets up with friends because, well, she doesn't have any. She looks at him, eyes soft under her cap, and says, "I'm really happy." Heike leads her to the food court, the safe choice because he doesn't know her preferences. But as they approach the kiosks, the old shadow of the diet starts to creep back into her eyes. She stares at the menu, her fingers twisting nervously. She whispers, "I've gotten fat. So what should I have?" Heike looks at the girl who is clearly undeniably thin, and his brain short-circuits. He yells it before he can stop himself. "In what universe? If anything, you're too skinny." She tries to settle for a salad, citing her mom's rules and the walking it off excuse. But Heike sees the way her eyes linger on the grease and the glory. He cuts through the noise, "But you really want to eat a hamburger." He doesn't give her a choice. He places the wrapped burger in front of her like a holy relic. Her eyes go wide, her stoic facade crumbling into pure hungry longing. This isn't just a meal, it's a revolution. She starts to spiral about what her mom and sister would think, the voices of her handlers ringing in her head. Heike leans in, his expression fierce and honest, and shouts down her demons. Well, forget them. He's not her manager. He's her friend, and he's not letting her starve. She hesitates for one more heartbeat, then dives in. The first bite of real, fatty, wonderful food hits her system, and the look on her face is worth every bit of risk. She's finally human again. A muffled escapes her as she chews, her eyes drifting shut. In the middle of a crowded mall, under the fluorescent lights, she's found a moment of total, delicious peace. After the meal, they wander into a shop filled with trinkets and plushies. Heike is checking his watch, worried about the schedule, but he stops when he sees her staring. She's fixed on a specific bear, her expression unreadable behind the cap. He misreads the stare. He panics, offering to buy it for her, only for her to clarify that she was just looking because it reminded her of a bear she already has. Heike's soul practically leaves his body from the embarrassment. "I misread her. Makes me want to die." She holds the bear up next to his face, her eyes sparkling with a mischief he's never seen. She points to the grumpy, round-faced plushie and delivers the punchline with a wide, genuine smile. "It looks like you." The stoic mask is gone. She's smirking, teasing him, and admitting that today has been more fun than she ever imagined. The legendary cool of the Oura family has officially been defeated by a hamburger and a cheap plush bear. Heike reflects on the day as they walk past a row of gacha machines. He made mistakes. He was a nervous wreck, but seeing her look like this, it was all worth it. For him too, this was a first. She stops at a machine for stuffed onigiri. It's a small thing, a cheap toy, but she points at it with a quiet determination. They're no longer transfer student and ice queen. They're just two kids enjoying a sundae. They crouch down together by the machines, the mall traffic blurring into the background. She turns to him, her smile bright enough to light up the whole building. "Thank you so much for today. I had so much fun." Sunday at the mall should be a victory lap, but Waku is currently staring at price tags like they're active death warrants. This was supposed to be a simple date, but apparently, a single shirt costs more than his entire monthly allowance. Oura-san clocks his internal meltdown instantly, pointing out a budget-friendly shop at the next station. He gapes at her, his voice reaching a pitch only dogs can hear. "You don't want to go to any of the stores here?" The truth comes out with a pathetic little squeak. Waku doesn't shop for clothes. Period. His entire wardrobe is a collection of things that just sort of happened to him. Oura-san tilts her head, genuinely confused why anyone would avoid a perfectly normal store like you. He tries to reclaim some dignity by telling her they can go wherever she wants, but she just looks at him with those big, earnest eyes. Anywhere is fine, as long as it's with him. The mall noise fades into a hum. For a second, the social anxiety and the rigid rules of the classroom don't exist. She's just a girl in a baseball cap, and he's a boy who's in way over his head. The silence between them isn't awkward anymore, it's a heavy, comfortable weight. Waku decides to dive into the deep end, declaring they'll check out a bunch of places. Oura-san gives a tiny, precious nod, a small crack in her stoic armor that Waku is learning to read like a map. They arrive at the storefront of Gyu, the bright lights promising a fresh start for Waku's tragic closet. They step inside, and Waku is immediately confronted by the horrors of modern trends. He's staring at a mannequin wearing a knit hat that looks like it was designed for a very stylish potato. He doesn't just lack fashion sense, he's looking at an alien civilization. He mutters a bewildered, "I don't get it," as they pass a display of layered hoodies and sunglasses that make absolutely no sense in this century. The final boss of bad taste appears, a blazer and shades combo that radiates pure "I haven't slept since the 90s" energy. Waku's brain finally short-circuits. He points a trembling finger at the display, his eyes wide and terrified. How is that fashionable? Oura-san isn't just browsing, she's on a mission. She starts grabbing hangers with a quiet, terrifying efficiency. Waku barely has time to blink before she's shoving an armful of clothes toward him, claiming she wants him to try them on. She admits she doesn't know much about men's clothes, but her eyes sparkle with a rare bit of passion for the craft. Behind the curtain, the silence is deafening. Waku fumbles with the buttons, realizing that for the first time in his life, he actually cares what he looks like because someone is waiting on the other side. He steps out, feeling like a nervous toddler in a tuxedo, only to see Oura-san staring at him with a soft, surprised whoa. The dynamic shifts. Now Oura-san is the one holding up options, looking for his input. Waku's pulse spikes as he realizes he's actually expected to have a preference. She holds up a pair of pants in one hand and a lace skirt in the other. Which do you think is better? He feels like he's taking a final exam where every answer leads to a heart attack. His eyes lock onto the skirt. It's tiny. It's lace. It's a direct threat to his sanity. "That's a miniskirt," he yells internally before pointing frantically at the pants. He hears the rustle of the curtain closing, the sharp sheff of fabric, and his heart starts doing a drum solo against his ribs. The curtain slides back, and the world stops. She's standing there in the lace top and dark pants, looking like she stepped off a magazine cover. Waku's brain completely empties. No thoughts, just a single, involuntary word that slips past his lips. Cute. Oura-san blushes, her composure crumbling just enough to make her duck back inside to try the skirt anyway. When she comes out again, she's swallowed by an oversized sweater dress that reaches her knees. Waku is still buffering from the first reveal, his face a permanent shade of crimson. He manages to stutter out that either one looks good, which earns him a skeptical, narrow-eyed look from Oura. It's the most expression he's seen on her all day. Decision made, she's getting the skirt. They head to the register, Waku clutching his bag like a treasure. He checks his phone and nearly drops it. It's almost 3 o'clock. The day is slipping through his fingers, and for the first time in his life, he actually wants time to slow down. "Already?" he cries, the panic of the deadline hitting him. They step out into the cooling afternoon air, both insisting they aren't tired despite the lack of sleep. It's a perfect lingering moment until a high-pitched scream shatters the mood. "OMG, is that Oura-san?" Waku freezes. Standing there like a pink-haired hurricane is Yumaru, with the pierced girl hovering behind her like a cynical shadow. Yumaru is vibrating with enough energy to power a small city, demanding to know why they were out together without her. Waku looks at Oura-san, searching for a sign of distress, but she's already retreated into her stone-face mode. He's caught in the crossfire. If he says yes, he might ruin her day. If he says no, he looks like a gatekeeper. He's sweating bullets as the silence stretches. Oura-san breaks the tension with a tiny, imperceptible nod. "I don't mind," she whispers. Yumaru lets out a cheer that probably echoes 3 stations away, grabbing Aura's hand and dragging her into the fold. The pierced girl just sighs, offering Waku a pitying look as their quiet Sunday is officially hijacked. The destination is Ikebukuro, the heart of the city, and the mission is Parface. Waku's eyes turn into spirals of pure dread. He's a former shut-in. The capital is basically a high-level dungeon for him. These girls are way too outgoing for his fragile nervous system, and they're just getting started. The crowds are a suffocating wall of noise and movement. Waku is struggling to breathe, but when he looks over at Oura-san, his heart sinks. She's wearing a mask, but he can see it in her eyes. The light is gone. She's completely drained, a ghost drifting through a sea of strangers. She's lost all of her spirit, he thinks, a protective instinct sharper than his own fear kicking in. They pass a display of plush bears, weird, slightly grumpy-looking things that seem to catch Oura-san's eye. Waku notices her staring. It's a tiny flicker of her true self peeking through the exhaustion. Before he can say anything, Yumaru is already dragging them into the cafe. The promise of sugar the only thing keeping them moving. The cafe is a nightmare of selfies and towering strawberry parfaits. Yumaru is narrating her life for a camera, and Waku is sitting there like a decorative houseplant, completely invisible. He feels the weight of the social exhaustion pressing down on them both. This isn't fun, it's a performance, and Oura-san is the unwilling star. Finally, the whirlwind passes. Yumaru waves a manic goodbye, leaving a stunned silence in her wake. Waku stands there with his hand raised, his brain a complete blank. He can't even remember what just happened. It was just a blur of pink hair and loud noises. As long as Oura-san is okay, that's all that matters. The silence returns, and it feels like oxygen. Waku starts apologizing for the detour, but Oura-san stops him. She wanted to go. She's exhausted, her cheeks flushed with a mix of heat and social fatigue, but there's a softness in her eyes. The day is ending, and the realization hits Waku like a physical blow. He doesn't want her to leave yet. He tries to say goodbye, but his tongue gets tied in a knot of BBBB sounds. Then his hand clenches into a fist. He can't let it end like this. He spins on his heel, screaming for her not to move. "Be right back, don't move." He takes off into the crowd, leaving a confused Oura-san standing under the city lights. His lungs are burning, but he doesn't stop. He sprints past the high-end shops, past the shoppers until he finds himself in front of a massive advertisement. It's her, Akarin. The idol he's spent his whole life obsessing over, staring down from a wall of perfect, curated beauty. He stops, gasping for air, looking at the goddess who started it all. There she is, the unreachable dream. Akari looks flawless, cold, and untouchable in her lilac coat. Waku is just a small, sweating boy in the shadow of a celebrity. But as he looks at her, he realizes that the girl he left waiting isn't this polished image. She's the one who was eating noodles in a storage room. She's the real one. He looks at the billboard, then turns his back on it. The obsession is being replaced by something heavier, warmer, and much more dangerous. He doesn't want the idol anymore. He wants to get back to the sister. He sprints back, weaving through the terminal, clutching a small paper bag like his life depends on it. He's out of breath, his face is a mess, but he doesn't care about looking cool. He just needs to see her face one more time before the sun goes down. He reaches her, shoving the bag into her hands with a flushed, awkward "yeah" as an explanation. Oura-san's eyes go wide, her stoicism finally dissolving into pure, unadulterated shock. She opens it right there on the sidewalk, pulling out the grumpy little bear mascot. It's a cheap toy, but in this light, it looks like the most valuable thing in the city. She pulls the bear to her chest, a genuine, radiant smile breaking across her face. "I'll never forget today," she whispers, and Waku feels his heart might actually explode. She looks him in the eye, the celebrity sister forgotten, the school hierarchy gone. "Thank you." The train rhythmically clatters over the tracks, a steady ka-tunk that matches the settling adrenaline. Oura-san has already attached the bear to her bag, a small mark of her rebellion. Waku admits he was so nervous he barely remembers the day, and she nods in agreement. It was a first step for both of them. The relief of being alone again is palpable. Oura-san leans slightly into the space between them, her eyes softened by the night lights outside the window. "Now that we're alone, I'm feeling calm again," she admits. Waku just stares at her, the blushing returning with a vengeance as he realizes how much this silence means to her. The ka-tunk of the train becomes a lullaby. Oura-san's head begins to dip, her eyelids heavy with the weight of the day's exhaustion. Waku watches her, held in a trance, realizing she's finally pushed past her limits. She looks so peaceful, so fragile, and so entirely real. The train sways, and then it happens. Her head drops, heavy and warm, and comes to rest perfectly against his shoulder. Waku's breath hitches. He's frozen, afraid that if he even blinks, the magic will shatter and she'll pull away. But she stays there, her breathing steady, trusting him with her sleep. His face is burning hot enough to light up the entire train car. He stares straight ahead, his eyes fixed on the reflections in the dark glass, but he can feel every inch of her weight. It's terrifying, it's wonderful, it's the most intense thing he's ever felt. Waku looks down at the girl sleeping on his shoulder and makes a silent vow. The idle obsession, the posters, the distant dream of Akarin, it's all fading. I decided that from then on I would try to talk about Akarin as little as possible. He doesn't need the fantasy when the reality is this close. He knows it's what's best for her. But more than that, he simply doesn't want to anymore. The idol isn't the one who had fun with him today. The idol isn't the one who thanked him with a smile that eclipsed the city lights. Today was more than just a date, it was a beginning. The train carries them through the night. Two kids sharing a small space in a vast, loud world. She said she'd never forget today. Waku looks at the small figure beside him and knows, with terrifying certainty, that it's just as unforgettable for him. A quiet morning, slippers on, phone in hand. It's the calm before the social storm of a high school day. Then the world invades. Shinagawa Earth, the guy whose name sounds like a Captain Planet spin-off, is cornering Waku with a favor. The social hierarchy is currently leaning very heavily on Waku's desk. He wants to sit next to Mishima-san at karaoke and needs a wingman. Waku is staring at a youth option he didn't even know existed. He's just trying to survive, and Earth is over here playing 4D chess with seating charts, casually saying, "I'm just asking you to be cool." The group is solidifying. Even Shindu, the girl with enough piercings to trigger a metal detector, is being roped into the plan. Meanwhile, Earth is radiating the kind of confidence that makes a former hikikomori want to vanish into the floorboards. Waku watches Earth boast about knowing every popular song, and it hits him. He spent his year off playing MMOs, not studying the top 40 charts. The realization hits him like a ton of bricks. Sing, huh? He's spiraling. Karaoke isn't just a fun outing, it's a public exam on his normalcy, and he's currently staring at a blank test paper. During lunch, even the stoic Oura-san has her strategy ready. She's going for a crowd pleaser. "I'm gonna sing a Yoasobi song." Waku is the only one in the room who doesn't have a playlist, and the ghosts of his shut-in past are starting to laugh at him. Oura leans in, curious. What will the boy who's meant to be her social anchor sing? Waku deflects with a frantic "it's a secret," but her simple response makes the pressure unbearable. "Please do." Mission accepted. He has to give it everything for just one song. Back at home, his sister May, the resident fashion and culture expert, is already judging his musical tastes. It's gotta be Yonezu, right? He finds the song, Kick Back. It's high-octane, chaotic, and currently melting Waku's brain. He's staring at the lyrics like they're written in an ancient, cursed language. He can't believe a human actually sang this. He practices until his lungs burn, in the room, in the bath, anywhere. He's determined to meet that look of expectation she gave him. Every lyric is a brick in the wall he's building against social failure. Morning comes, and Waku finds himself walking to school with the music still thumping in his ears. Then, a sudden tap on the shoulder breaks the rhythm. It's Oura-san, acting weirdly playful. She pokes his cheek like a curious kid because he didn't hear her. Waku is frozen, the stoic princess just used a physical interaction to get his attention. She wants to listen. Waku panics. All he has are wired earbuds, which means sharing a very small, very intimate physical space. As she takes it, he's screaming internally, "It's probably still warm from my ear." The world goes quiet as the heavy bass of Kick Back fills her ear. Her face lights up, a genuine, rare smile. "Oh, it's Kick Back. I love this song." For a second, the wired connection between them feels like it's carrying a lot more than just audio data. Now it's a competition. They're both practicing, both nervous, and both looking forward to it with a terrifying intensity. It's not just karaoke anymore, it's a duel of hearts. Oura leans in with a promise. "I'll stay by you the whole time." She sounds like a sworn warrior protecting her lord. Waku's internal monologue is just a siren going off at full blast. The day of the outing. The group is waiting out front, the normie battalion in full force. Waku approaches, feeling every bit the outsider despite his new clothes. He's hiding around the corner, taking one last breath. This is it, the arena where youth is decided. He steps out, and surprisingly it works. Yumaru is actually complimenting him. The clothes Oura picked out are doing the heavy lifting, while Waku just tries to remember how to breathe. Then, a vibration in his pocket kills the mood. A text from Mino. Her sister has sudden work, and she has to help. She's not coming. The entire reason Waku is here just evaporated. Waku is devastated, but the group is suspicious. How does the awkward transfer student have the personal contact info of the class idol? Yumaru's eyes are narrowing into laser beams of jealousy. They move inside. Earth is still playing his wingman game, but the energy is off. Waku is just a passenger in a car heading to a destination he no longer cares about. Earth starts his move, winking like he's in a soap opera. Waku is just watching the train wreck in slow motion, feeling a weird mix of pity and secondary embarrassment. The microphones come out. Yumaru is already hitting high notes, and the room is full of the loud, messy joy of high schoolers. But without Oura, it just feels like loud static to Waku. Earth gets his wish, he's sitting right next to Mishima-san. Meanwhile, everyone else is taking their turn. The screen flashing with lyrics that Waku spent all week memorizing for a girl who isn't here. It's his turn. The screen lights up with kick back. Waku's heart is hammering against his ribs. He didn't want to do this alone, but he can't back down now. He starts to sing, but Earth steals the mic, turning the difficult lyrics into a one-man show. Dorioku, Mirai, a beautiful star. The room explodes, leaving Waku as the backup singer in his own debut. Waku is left holding a silent mic. You can't hear my voice at all. The crowd is cheering for Earth, and Waku realizes that in this room of normal kids, he's still just background noise. The energy dips. People are heading home, calling it a day. Waku is left wondering why it all felt so hollow. The youth experience he practiced so hard for is ending on a whimper. They walk out into the cooling city air. Waku lingers, the echo of the music still in his head. He really wanted to stay longer. But wait. Across town, a taxi is weaving through traffic. Oura-san is inside, still in her disguise, checking her phone. I'm on my way. She's not giving up on today either. She runs through the lobby, dodging the last of the crowds. She bursts into the hallway, her heart racing faster than the beat of a song. The door swings open. Waku is sitting there alone, mic in hand. Waku-kun. Her voice is breathless, and the look in her eyes is something no model's camera could ever capture. She's tearing up, the stoic mask completely gone. Everyone else left, but he waited. I was just so happy, because you stayed for me, Waku-kun. The private concert begins. No Earth to steal the mic, no group to blend into. Just them. I want you to sing, Waku-kun. He takes a breath. This is the real debut. He gives it everything. Dorioku, Mirai, a beautiful star. He's yelling the lyrics, and Oura is clapping along, her eyes sparkling with a wild, infectious joy. He finishes, breathless and red-faced. Oura-san is radiant, still shaking the tambourine. Now I can die happy. She finally understands the effort he put in just for her. He looks at her, and the words just come out. He didn't wait because he had to, he waited because he knew. I just had a feeling you would come. She's blushing, overwhelmed. Now it's her turn. She stands up and picks the most fitting song possible, Idol. As she starts to sing, Waku is struck by a terrifyingly honest thought. He doesn't want the party to start again. He doesn't want the others to come back. He just wants to stay like this. Just the two of them, for as long as the clock allows. The bubble bursts, the door flies open, and the normie battalion is back with a roar. We're back. The private magic is gone in a flash of overhead lighting. Yumaru is already clinging to her, ecstatic that the star of the class made it. Oura-san is back in her public role, but her eyes are still fixed on Waku. The room fills with noise again. Everyone is singing, tambourines are jingling, and the quiet moment from before feels like a beautiful dream they both shared. Then, Oura goes quiet. She's staring at Waku, and she's crying. The others think she's just getting emotional over the song, but Waku knows better. He sees the real reason behind those tears. She looks right at him, her face a map of pure, unshielded emotion. Thank you, Waku-kun. The words embody everything they've shared. The instant noodles, the shopping, and now, this moment of being seen. They sit side by side. Their hands are resting on the cushion between them. One finger moves, just a graze, a tiny physical bridge in a room full of noise. The party roars on around them, but for Waku, everything has gone quiet. The touch of her hand is the only thing he can feel. I can't remember anything after that. Today wasn't just about karaoke, it was about a promise that didn't need words. Back at home, the school uniform comes off and the headphones go on. This is where Waku finds his quiet in the glow of the screen and the click of the controller. The chat box explodes the second he logs in. His avatar is a tiny dwarf, but his friend Ritsu-kun is a whirlwind of pixels and panic. "Wanu, it's been way too long, dude. I thought maybe ya kicked the bucket," Waku just types back with a small, tired smile. Waku confesses the truth. He's actually going back to school, leaving the life of a hikikomori behind bit by bit. Ritsu doesn't judge, he just laments the loss of his best tank and begs Waku to stay in touch because they're comrades. When the world felt too heavy to face, it was this blonde avatar who reached out through the static. Waku was a newbie, a ghost in his own life, but Ritsu didn't care. He offered a party, a goal, and a reason to keep moving, even if it was just across a digital map. Waku is lost in a moment of gratitude when the door creaks open with a terrifying glake. Mei is standing there, peering through the gap like a horror movie villain. "Oni, I see you're playing that game again?" She was worried he'd relapsed into hermit mode. But the news that he actually sang "Kick Back" at karaoke sends her into a tailspin of laughter. She's cackling, calling him amazing while Waku just wants to disappear into his floorboards. "Then, why didn't you suggest something easier?" Next morning at school, the air feels different. Earth walks in with a wink and a swagger that says everything. "Waku, big ups for the karaoke thing, brother." Earth is practically glowing, claiming he's closer to Mishima-san than ever. Waku watches the class dynamics shift, feeling the pierced girl's cynical, sharp eyes boring into him. He's become the accidental catalyst of the classroom's social life. The classroom chatter is a buzz of new connections, but Waku's eyes are on the door. He's holding on to the hope that after their night at karaoke, Oura-san won't have to hide behind that frozen mask anymore. And then, there she is. The door slides open, and the room falls under the familiar shadow of the Ice Queen. She looks exactly the same, back straight, eyes forward, that flawless porcelain mask firmly back in place. But then, she actually speaks, "Good morning." The classroom practically vibrates with the shock of it, yet Waku can't help but smile. It's almost admirable how little she's changed. Even after their night in that karaoke booth, he offers a simple greeting back, realizing there's no real hurry to break the stoic shell. The warmth is already there, just beneath the surface. Suddenly, Yumeru is in her personal space, pointing at the little bear dangling from Oura-san's bag. "You always have that beer with you these days. I want one too." Oura-san is shaking her head, her face flushing with the effort of basic human interaction. Waku watches from his desk, rooting for his classmates' relentless energy. "Keep up the assault, Yumeru." The teacher calls for culture festival ideas, and the piece is immediately incinerated. Yumeru's hand shoots up like a rocket. "Right here, I wanna dress up like a bunny." Waku stares, blinking. June? Bunny suits? The school year is barely in second gear. It's a civil war. One side wants a maze, Yumeru is dying to be a bunny, and the teacher is just trying to survive. Amidst the shouting, Waku notices Oura-san. She's rocking back and forth in her chair, a silent internal rock that signals a total system overload. He can't just watch her drown. Waku's heart is thundering in his chest as he slowly, painfully raises his hand. The silence that follows is deafening. Every eye in the room shifts to the transfer student. He stammers, his face turning a deep, radioactive red. He manages to string the words together, a maze where people collect stuffed animals. And the guides, meaning Yumeru, get to wear the ears. It's a compromise that actually works. Yumeru's eyes light up with pure, unadulterated joy. Cause bunnies. The chaos of the classroom fades into the familiar hush of their storage room sanctuary. The plan is set, the class is happy, and Waku can finally breathe again. They're sitting side by side on the mat. Waku mentions how cute the idea is, then he lets a reckless thought slip into the air. "Will you be a bunny too?" Oura-san nearly chokes on her lunch. "Me?" The light dies out of her eyes as she looks down at her bento. She says she probably won't participate. Waku's jaw drops. The panic is back. He thought they were past the stage where she had to sit on the sidelines. She explains the fear that haunts every public move. If people recognize her as Akari's sister, it could cause a scene and damage the cool image they've worked so hard to build. I want to be better friends with everyone, but I'll definitely help with setup. Waku hears the hee-hee under her breath, a tiny spark of the girl who loves cup noodles and karaoke. He leans in, his voice soft and certain. So it's not that you don't want to be part of the festival, right? She stares at her hands, the silence stretching between them. I do want to. She decides she'll do something in the back, away from the eyes of the crowd. Waku encourages her, even as a tiny, selfish part of him mourns the bunny suit he'll never see. No, I will go, her voice is small, but it's the strongest thing he's heard all day. She asks if he's inviting friends, and Waku's mind immediately goes to the one person who knows him best, his online comrade. He explains the world of MMOs, the days spent gaming when school was a distant nightmare. Eat, sleep, crap, play. The atmosphere shifts. Oura-san looks at him, her eyes soft and vulnerable. If you're friends with them, maybe I could be friends with them too. Waku's heart skips a beat. He's blushing so hard his ears are ringing. Waku is clutching his chest, wondering why it hurts so much to be trusted this deeply. And then, she just sprawls out. Exhausted from the social assault, Oura-san drifts off right there on the mat. Waku freezes, his face a mask of pure terror and adoration. The world outside the door vanishes. In the golden light of the storage room, she looks peaceful, her features softened by sleep. Then she mumbles into the air, a secret meant only for him. I'm having so much fun with you, Waku-kun. Waku is screaming internally, his face turning a shade of purple that shouldn't be humanly possible. He manages to choke out a "me too" that wakes her up instantly. She fixes her gaze on him, confused and slightly suspicious. Were you mimicking me? She pokes her own cheek, her face returning to that familiar, beautiful stone. Smiling is hard, Waku watches her intently, the memory of her sleeping face still burning in his mind. He knows she's trying, and he knows why it's so difficult. Waku admits the one truth he's been holding back. When everyone else is laughing and she's the only one standing still, it feels a little lonely. It's not about the image, it's about wanting her to be part of the warmth. At home, Oura-san is practicing in the mirror, fingers pulling at the corners of her mouth. Then, a shadow falls over her. Akari is there, her face a perfect smiling mask of disappointment. I keep telling you, Akari doesn't need to smile. Akari explains the cold, professional logic. An awkward smile ruins the mystery. She's only allowed to go to school as long as she maintains the facade of the stoic sibling. One slip, one crack in the armor, and the world will catch on. Akari brings up the past. Whatever happened at the last culture festival. It's a knife to the heart. Oura-san clenches her shirt, her voice trembling. I absolutely do not want to transfer schools. Akari places a hand on her shoulder, a touch that feels more like a shackle than a comfort. She reminds Minori of the people who support Akari, forcing her to choose between her own happiness and her sister's career. Then let's do our best to preserve that image. Akari bounces out the door, her professional mask back in place as the manager/mom. She leaves Minori alone with a warning about eye bags and beauty sleep. The apartment goes dead silent, the weight of the sister's expectations hanging heavy in the air. She stares at the massive stuffed bear sitting in the corner of her room, a silent witness to all the things she can't say out loud. In the quiet, the stoic mask starts to slip, just a fraction. She throws her arms around the bear, a tight, desperate squeeze. It's the only comfort she has in a world that demands she be perfect. Outside, the city lights flicker, unaware of the struggle inside the apartment. Across town, another girl is yawning after a long night of gaming. This is Ritsu, the blonde twin-tail from the MMO. Her friend asks if she was playing with Wanu again, and Ritsu just grumbles about stupid monsters and bad drop rates. Ritsu is blushing, admitting she's thinking of going to his school's festival. Her friend is horrified, warning her that the world is full of creeps. Ha! It'll be fine. I'll just order a ticket and check out his school. She's got a plan. She's been playing a male character this whole time just to avoid trouble. but the realization that he didn't actually invite her hits her like a cold shower. She's just an online friend, or so she thinks. Waku sends a Hail Mary invite, not expecting anything. Then the chat window pings. "I wanna meet you IRL." Waku stares at the screen, the room suddenly feeling very small. The digital world is about to collide with his messy reality. He wants to introduce Ritsu to his new friend, to Oura-san. For a total change of pace, Waku is actually looking forward to a school event. He leans back, hands behind his head, a genuine smile finally breaking through. He looks up at the ceiling, thinking about how much has changed in just a few weeks. Every step he's taken away from that lonely room, every brave moment in class, it's all because of her. All of this is thanks to Oura-san. The classroom door slides open, and the air just vanishes. Yumaru isn't just dressed as a bunny, she's practically glowing with self-confidence. Waku stands there, jaw literally unhinged, while Yumaru strikes a pose and delivers the line, "Ta-da!" Apparently, Yumaru is a sewing wizard who can turn a pile of rags into a high-end costume for under budget. Waku's brain immediately starts misfiring, wondering if this is a hobby or a secret identity. He gathers his courage, heart hammering against his ribs, and asks if she actually cosplays. The denial is instant, leaving him to nurse his wounded logic in the corner. Yumaru is leaning into the cute factor hard, practically fishing for compliments from Waku. Then, she turns her sights on the stoic queen of the class. She holds out the suit like a dare, her eyes sparkling with mischief as she speaks. "Then you should try it on too." Waku's internal monologue just hit 100 decibels. The very idea of Oura-san in that outfit has his face turning a dangerous shade of crimson. He clenches his fist, fighting a losing battle against his own imagination as he screams internally, "I wanted to see Oura-san as a bunny for real." The mood shifts when Oura-san spots the accessories. She picks up a pair of bunny ears, her movements slow and deliberate compared to the earlier chaos. Waku watches her, paralyzed by her sudden proximity as she holds the fuzzy headband between them. She reaches out, her fingers brushing against his hair as she slides the ears into place. Waku's soul is basically leaving his body. He's frozen like a deer in headlights, totally unprepared for her to look him in the eye and say, "I wanna take you home." Yumaru's cute factor just got nuked by Oura-san's effortless aura. She's crumpled on the floor in a fit of adorable despair, realizing she's been out-bunnied. Waku can only stand there, ears twitching, as Yumaru wails, "But I'm cuter." Waku picks up the bunny mask, a soft smile replacing his panic. He realizes that if Oura-san wears this, the Ice Queen facade can disappear. She wouldn't have to be her sister's shadow, she could just be a girl at a festival. He turns his gaze toward her, the idea taking root. If she hides her face, she can finally be free. The air between them gets heavy, charged with a new kind of promise. Oura-san studies the mask, her expression unreadable but her eyes searching his. Waku takes a breath and lets the hope leak out. "We called walk around together." Reality crashes back in, and Waku's brain starts melting. He can't believe he just suggested a date, even a hidden one. He's internally screaming while Yumaru continues her one-woman protest in the background, but his eyes are locked on Oura-san's tiny, subtle nod. She's trying, hides or not, even behind the mask, her small gestures show she's opening up. Waku feels a surge of quiet pride. She's getting there, one step at a time. Then a new voice cuts through the peace. Enter Earth, the guy who actually looks like he belongs in a manga. He's effortlessly cool, apologizing for being too busy with the theater club to help out. Waku tries to play along, asking if he's playing the lead, only for Earth to flash a grin that would make most girls faint. Earth isn't just popular. He's genuinely nice, which almost makes it worse for Waku's self-esteem. He drapes an arm around Waku, inviting the whole group to watch his club practice. It's an invitation to a world where everyone is talented and beautiful, and Waku feels the gap widening. Yumaru is practically vibrating with excitement at the prospect of watching Earth, but it's Oura-san's quiet interest that catches Waku off guard. She looks at him, her curiosity overriding her usual stoicism. She's already moving toward the door as she says, "Shall we?" The gym is a chaotic symphony of sneakers squeaking and echoing voices. It's the high-traffic hub of the school's elite, and Waku feels like an intruder in his own school. Earth leads the way, greeting his clubmates with a casual ease that Waku can only envy. While the theater club does their warm-ups, Waku notices the real stars of the gym. The basketball team is in mid-practice, and one player in particular stands out, a guy who looks like he walked off a runway and onto the court. He's the peak of Eichmann perfection, and Waku can feel the tension in the room spike. It doesn't take long for Oura-san to be spotted. A group of girls rushes over, eyes wide with idol worship, begging for a photo with the legendary Oura-senpai. Waku watches from the sidelines as she politely declines, her voice calm but her posture rigid. Once the fans disperse, the mask of the cool Oura slips just a fraction. She looks exhausted by the expectation of perfection. She admits that she can't risk doing anything that might reflect poorly on her sister. It's a heavy burden, and for a moment, Waku is the only one who sees the girl behind the model. The piece is shattered when the star player himself walks over. He's tall, glowing with sweat, and has an intensity that makes Waku feel invisible. He doesn't even look at Waku as he singles her out. Oura-san. Just for a second. Waku's heart drops into his stomach as she actually agrees. She hands him her bunny mask, a silent request to wait, and walks away with the golden boy of the sports world. Waku is left sitting on the gym floor, clutching a piece of plastic, and watching her back disappear into the distance. Waku's brain is currently in a state of total collapse. The girls around him are gossiping about how popular Oura-san actually is, and every word is like a dagger to his chest. He repeats the words like a broken record, his eyes wide and vacant. Pop Ular. He's imagining the worst-case scenario in real time. Confessions, the word is ringing in his ears like a funeral bell. He knows what these words mean individually, but in this context, they're just noise. He's crumbling, his physical form literally giving up on life as he thinks, for some reason they're not registering in my head. Something snaps. He can't just sit here and wait for his heart to be handed back in pieces. He stands up so fast his chair nearly flips, a look of grim determination on his face that startles everyone nearby. "Oh," is the only reaction he gets as he prepares to charge. He starts walking, but his legs have turned to jelly. Every step is a battle against the crushing weight of his own awkwardness. He's trembling, his face a mask of sweaty desperation, looking more like he's walking to his execution than a rescue mission. Yumaru is actually cheering him on, treating his mental breakdown like a high-stakes sporting event. He wobbles out of the gym, leaving the safety of the group behind. The school building feels colder as he wanders the halls, searching for a sign of the girl who currently holds his entire world in her hands. He finds them in a quiet corridor. The player towers over her, a scene straight out of a romance manga, the kind Waku only reads about. He ducks behind a pillar, his heart hammering against the concrete, wondering if he's just arrived in time to see his own dream die. He watches as Oura-san bows a polite, professional gesture that signals the end of the conversation. She turns and starts walking away, leaving the basketball star standing alone in the hallway. Waku freezes, realizing she's heading straight for his hiding spot. She rounds the corner and stops dead. Their eyes meet, and for a second, the entire world is just this narrow hallway and the sound of Waku's frantic breathing. He's caught looking like a total creep, and the shame is almost as loud as his relief. Then, she does something he never expected. She starts running. It's not a model's walk, it's a frantic, desperate trot. Her face is burning red, and as she gets closer, Waku can see the genuine panic in her eyes. She skids to a stop right in front of him, both of them vibrating with mutual awkwardness. Waku can't even find words, and Oura-san looks like she wants the floor to swallow her whole. The silence is thick enough to choke on. Waku manages a pathetic little wave, his voice cracking as he tries to act like he wasn't just spying on her. They stand 5 feet apart, two social disasters in a standoff. She finally breaks the silence with a quiet, shaky, "Hey." Waku can't handle the direct eye contact. He fumbles with the bunny mask she gave him earlier, snapping it onto his face with a desperate F-whip. It's a shield, a way to hide the fact that he's currently redder than a ripe tomato. Behind the plastic mask, Waku's voice comes out distorted and high-pitched. He asks if she's okay, but the delivery is so absurd it actually breaks the tension. Oura-san stares at the cartoon rabbit talking to her and blurts out, "That was a weird voice." Waku takes off the mask, his heart in his throat. He has to know. He stammers out a question about whether that guy just confessed to her. Oura-san doesn't hesitate, her blush deepening as she shouts the truth. "I turned him down." The relief that washes over Waku is almost physical. But Oura-san isn't done. She clenches the fabric of her skirt, her knuckles white. She admits that she never knows what to do in situations like that. She's always just following a script. But then, she looked up and saw his face, and the panic just stopped. Waku is stunned. He spent so long thinking he was the lucky one to be around her, but here she is, looking at him with total sincerity. She takes a breath, her voice small but clear. "You're always saving me, Waku-kun." The weight of that confession is almost too much. They're both vibrating with embarrassment, shouting at each other in a desperate attempt to reset the mood. When they hear other students approaching, the instinct to hide kicks in. Waku grabs her sleeve and points to the shadows. "Let's hide." They press themselves against the wall, hidden by the architecture. Waku can feel her warmth, can hear her shallow breaths right next to him. The world outside is just a blur of passing voices, but inside this small space, everything is incredibly, dangerously sharp. He fixes his eyes on her, and the realization hits him like a physical blow. This isn't just about a secret diet or a school festival. This girl, with her blunt bangs and her hidden kindness, is the reason the world finally looks colorful again. He remembers the days spent locked in his room, the crushing weight of failure and loneliness. All of that feels like a lifetime ago. He watches her intently, and the thought finally forms into words. "The reason I can wake up and think that I want to go to school again is because you're here, Oura-san." She doesn't say anything, but her hand reaches out, fingers hovering just inches from his shirt. The silence between them is no longer awkward. It's a shared secret, a promise kept in the shadows. She just whispers a soft, "Oh." They walk back to the classroom, the distance between them feeling both shorter and longer than before. Yumaru and the pierced girl are waiting, their teasing energy immediately breaking the spell. Waku tries to dive back into work, his hands still shaking as he picks up a paintbrush. The pierced girl is giving him a look that says she knows exactly what happened, but Waku is too focused on the task at hand. He's determined to make this festival perfect for her. Oura-san is already back to painting, her movements faster, her eyes brighter. She's not just participating anymore, she's actually trying. The Ice Queen facade doesn't just crack, it shatters completely. Oura-san turns to the group and flashes a smile so genuine and bright it practically blinds them. It's the face of a girl who finally found a place where she belongs as she shouts, "Let's do our best." The classroom erupts. No one has ever seen her look like this, human, happy, and vibrantly alive. Waku catches sight of her, a single bead of sweat rolling down his cheek, his heart full of a feeling he doesn't quite have a name for yet. He can only watch her and think, she really is trying hard. The Yagashiwa High Culture Festival is a full-blown riot of glitter, banners, and the smell of frying dough. Everywhere you look, students are peddling overpriced snacks with a level of intensity that would make a used car salesman sweat. Class 2B is currently leaning hard into the rabbit aesthetic. Waku is out here playing Barker, promising plushies and postcards to anyone brave enough to survive their maze. Yumaru is practically vibrating with excitement, waving a card around like it's a golden ticket. The plushie was made by Oura-san, and the postcard was drawn by Mishima-san. Oura-san watches him from under those blunt bangs, a small rabbit drawing clutched in her hand. The air between them is thick with the secret they still share, but Waku's head is elsewhere, spinning with the dread of a meeting a year in the making. He tells her he's got no idea what his friend looks like, only that the guy saved him when he was rotting away in his room. Oura-san's eyes go wide, a soft glimmer of something like pride reflecting back at him. She's actually looking forward to it. Waku feels his face heating up, the embarrassment prickling at his neck as he doubles down on his resolve. I'll be sure to introduce you." Waku scans the crowd, looking for a hymn that fits the profile, but his internal radar hits a brick wall. Standing right in front of the maze is a girl with a low braid and a massive black bow, and she is staring daggers into his soul. She isn't just looking, she's dissecting him. The girl points a finger like a loaded weapon, her face flushing a deep crimson as she closes the distance. Behind her, Oura-san shifts, the expressionless bunny mask making her silent observation feel 10 times more intimidating. The girl's voice cracks under the pressure of the crowd. "Are you popular, Waku-kun?" She stops 2 inches from his personal space, her breath hitching as she says the one name that doesn't belong in this school. "Wanu?" Waku's brain stalls, the world around him turns into white noise. "Huh?" The sweat beads on Waku's forehead. It's a name from a different life, a digital handle for a guy he's traded thousands of messages with. But the person standing there is wearing a skirt and a look of absolute terrifying vulnerability. She takes a breath that hitches in her throat and drops the bomb. "I'm Ritsu-kun." Waku's scream is audible 3 hallways away. He's flailing, his brain trying to reconcile a year of bro talk with the girl standing in front of him. Ritsuki isn't backing down though, she's blushing hard, waving her hands in a desperate attempt to keep the peace. There was no good reason to out myself as a girl in an online game. Waku tries to salvage his dignity, introducing the girl in the bunny mask as his friend, but Ritsuki's jaw is already on the floor. Oura-san gives a polite, stiff bow, her cool aura radiating even through the plastic mask. Ritsuki just stares, her eyes wide with a mix of awe and pure, unadulterated shock. A real-life dwarf. Ritsuki leans in, her voice a mix of a squeak and a shout that has the passing students turning heads. "Yo, you have a girlfriend!" Waku's hands go up in a frantic defensive stance, his face turning a shade of red that shouldn't be biologically possible. "What? No, she's just a friend." Ritsuki reaches out and starts patting Waku's head like he's a prize poodle, much to his utter humiliation. But the temperature in the room just dropped 20 degrees. Oura-san steps forward, her posture rigid, her voice coming out from behind the mask with a sharp, icy edge. "Nice to meet you. I'm Oura, and I am Waku-kun's friend." The mask comes off. The Ice Queen facade is gone, replaced by a face so striking it genuinely seems to stun the air out of the room. Ritsuki and her friend Mio freeze mid-sentence, their eyes locking onto the sheer, effortless beauty of the girl standing in front of them. The shock wears off and turns into a full-scale fangirl meltdown. Ritsuki is clutching her face, her eyes practically turning into hearts as she looks from Oura to Waku and back again. She can't wrap her head around the math of it. There's no way a girl this cute would give you the time of day. Mio puts the pieces together instantly. The blunt bangs, the poise she knows Akari, and she knows who Oura is. But Ritsuki isn't done with Waku yet. She reaches out, poking his cheek with a grin that says they've known each other for years, while Oura-san stands there, her expression going absolutely terrifyingly blank. Ritsuki keeps at it, treating Waku's face like a stress ball as a token of their first meeting. Waku is trying to peel her off him, his eyes darting to Oura-san, who is currently putting all her energy into remaining motionless. When a classmate offers Waku a break to hang with his friends, the silence from the bunny-masked girl is deafening. "Stop that!" Waku tries to bridge the gap, asking if Oura-san can take her break too, but she shuts him down with a finality that feels like a physical blow. She turns away, her voice tight and dangerously polite as she stares out the window. "So you just go and have your fun, Waku-kun." The festival keeps moving, a blur of shaved ice and shouting. Yumaru is having the time of her life, laughing at the chaos, but Waku is walking through the crowd like a man who just accidentally stepped on a landmine and is waiting for the click. He's mindlessly munching on a chocolate banana, the sweetness tasting like ash. Ritsuki and Mio are chatting away, but Waku's heart is still back at the booth. He wonders if he said something wrong, if the Wanu talk was too much, but the look on Aura's face before she turned away was something else entirely. Ritsuki finally slows down, her head dipping as she offers a quiet apology for keeping her identity a secret. Mio isn't letting her off the hook, though, leaning in with a smirk that has Ritsuki's ears turning bright red. "Ritsuki was really itching to see you, Wanu." She looks up, her eyes earnest for the first time since they met. She didn't just want to see him, she wanted a partner for all the things you can't do alone, the conventions, the collab cafes, the shared obsession. She tells him since he doesn't have any friends. She's the one who has to step up. The sentiment is sweet, but the practical reality hits a snag. When Mio suggests they all swap line IDs, Waku has to deliver the most awkward news possible. He forgot his phone at home. Ritsuki looks like she's about to have a stroke. What a Wanu thing to do. Back at the booth, the Ice Queen has found a new coping mechanism. Oura-san is chugging bottled water with a ferocity that's genuinely concerning. She's not stress-eating, she's stress-hydrating, turning every ounce of her frustration into a series of frantic trips to the bathroom. The girl with the piercings watches her from the side, her cynical eyes catching every stiff movement and every bottled-up sigh. She hands Oura a bunny plushie in bad shape, but her real focus is the girl behind the mask. She leans in, a playful, dangerous edge to her voice. Feeling jealous? Oura-san tries to play it cool, her voice flat as she insists there's no reason to be jealous. But the girl with the piercings isn't buying the act. She tells Aura that if she really wants to know what's going on, she should just go find him. Aura stares at the crowd, her hand tightening around the plushie. She's going to find him. She moves through the festival like a ghost, a tall girl in a bunny mask surrounded by laughing couples and shouting vendors. The noise is a blur, the faces are all the same, and the weight of her own pride is starting to feel like lead in her shoes. The mask hides her face, but it can't hide the way her shoulders are slumped. She's standing in the middle of the hallway, a girl who doesn't know how to belong, looking for the one person who actually makes her feel like she does. Waku is heading back toward the booth, his eyes darting between the stalls, his mind a mess of apologies he doesn't know how to deliver. He's looking for a sign, any sign, that he hasn't completely blown it. Then he sees her. That ridiculous bunny mask is unmistakable even in this sea of people. He stops, the air catching in his throat as he calls out her name, and for a second, the whole festival just stops. Oura-san. He doesn't go back to the booth. He doesn't go back to his friends. He stands his ground and says the words she's been dying to hear, even if she didn't know it. He's choosing her, and the sincerity in his voice is enough to make the plastic mask feel like it's melting away. I think I would actually like to walk around with you. Waku's face is split by a grin that's purely infectious. He waves goodbye to Ritsuki, thanking her for coming, his energy finally matching the festival around them. Ritsuki watches them go, her own blush fading into a look that's a little bit sad and a lot bit understood. She knows when she's been outclassed. She can't let him leave without one last strike. As Waku and Aura walk away, Ritsuki's voice booms across the courtyard, a final, desperate cry that has Waku's ears burning all over again. Wanu? The storage room is a sanctuary of dust and silence. The muffled sounds of the festival filtered through thick concrete walls. They sit on the stacked gym mats, the space between them small and heavy with the things they haven't said yet. Oura-san is looking at her lap, her fingers tracing the ears of the mask. The pride is gone, replaced by a raw, quiet honesty that makes Waku's own stomach do flips. She doesn't look like an ice queen now. She just looks like a girl who's sorry. I'm sorry about the way I acted earlier. Waku's trying to follow her logic, but his social radar is still on the fritz. He remembers her mentioning a gnawing feeling, and his brain takes the most direct, most Waku-like route possible. He looks at her with genuine concern, his voice dropping into a whisper. Was it because you were hungry? The silence that follows is lethal. Oura-san just stares at him, her face blanking out as she processes the sheer, unmitigated density of the boy sitting next to her. Her knuckles turn white as she clenches the rabbit mask, the tension in the room ratcheting up until it's practically humming. She looks away, her face flushing a shade of pink that has nothing to do with the heat of the room. She's figured out exactly what that gnawing was, the jealousy, the possessiveness, the fear of losing her anchor. She grips the mask tighter and delivers her final verdict. I actually did figure it out earlier, but I will never ever tell you. But she isn't letting him off that easy. She takes a breath, her voice small but steady, and breaks the last barrier between them. No more suffixes, no more distance. She looks him right in the eye and changes everything. And from now on, I'm gonna call you Waku too. Waku's world just tilted on its axis. The simple omission of a kun shouldn't feel like a physical weight, but his chest is currently a drum circle. He's staring at her, unable to look away, as his heart starts a rhythm that he can't control. It's a feeling he doesn't have a name for yet, something sharp and terrifying and wonderful all at once. It feels like his heart is trying to escape, like it's going to jump right out of his chest and land at her feet. On the train ride home, Ritsuki is a mess of trembling hands and heavy thoughts. She's thinking about the boy who was always there in the game, the one who helped her through more than just boss fights. He was exactly who she imagined, and maybe that's the hardest part of all. They step off the train, Ritsuki still trying to process the day, but Mio is already a step ahead. She watches her friend with a look of quiet, calculating concern. She tells Ritsuki she's glad she finally has more than just her as a friend, but the look in Mio's eyes says she's carrying a secret of her own. Mio's phone screen glows in the dark as she types out a message that could shatter Waku's entire world. She remembers a girl from grade school in Yamaguchi, a girl who didn't have an older sister. She hits the keys with a steady hand, the doubt blooming into a direct question. Do you happen to know if she went to grade school in Yamaguchi Prefecture? She doesn't want to see them get hurt, but the math isn't adding up, and the Ice Queen facade is starting to look more like a cover story. She types the warning and lets it hang in the air for a second before finally touching the screen. I mean, what if she's lying to you? Send. Ignorant of the storm brewing on his phone, Waku is leaning over a festival map with Oura-san, his brain already 10 steps ahead. He's imagining a haunted house, picturing the way she'd grab his arm in the dark, the way he could finally be the one to guide her through it. He watches her quivering with anticipation, completely unaware that his perfect day just hit a timer. Waku's daily life used to be a graveyard of quiet failures, but today the air tastes like festival sugar and high-stakes nerves. He looks at Oura-san, the girl who usually keeps the world at arm's length with a single cold stare, and realizes he's actually doing it. He's out in the wild living the kind of high school dream he thought he'd forfeited forever. The plan was simple. Take the girl to a haunted house, wait for her to get scared, and finally be the reliable hero she needs. But as they stand at the bamboo-framed entrance of the class maze, the echoing from inside isn't a challenge, it's a warning. Waku is currently vibrating at a frequency that could shatter glass beside him. Oura-san is hiding behind a rabbit mask, but her stoic silence is actually just genuine interest in the set design. Waku tries to play it off with a shaky grin, stammering out, "That's exciting, huh?" while his soul prepares to leave his body. A single prop moves, and the facade of the reliable transfer student evaporates instantly. Waku hits a high note that would make an opera singer weep. Duh. The ghost isn't even touching him, but he's already seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Waku is hyperventilating in the corner when a hand reaches out from the gloom. Oura-san looks at the mess of a boy before her, a faint blush creeping up her neck, and offers the ultimate lifeline. Want to hold hands? Waku's brain short-circuits. He didn't save the girl. The girl is currently fishing him out of the darkness. Waku is no longer a student. He is a sentient panic attack being towed toward the exit. He's gripping her hand like it's the only solid thing in a world made of jump scares and cardboard ghosts. Even the ghosts look confused as he bellows another, "Ah!" while being lead away by a girl in a bunny mask. Outside in the sunlight, the shame hits Waku like a physical weight. He's convinced he looked pathetic, a trembling wreck while she was the image of cool composure. But he isn't looking at her hand, the way she's flexing her fingers, trying to hold onto the sensation of his palm against hers long after the ghosts have faded. The embarrassment is temporary, but the festival clock is ticking. Oura-san is already suggesting they keep moving, and Waku finds his second wind. They've got flyers to pass out and a play to see, and as long as no one mentions the high-pitched screaming, Waku thinks he might just survive the day. They drift through the stalls, a blur of hammer games and shared snacks. It's the little things, the way she looks through the eye holes of that mask at a bottle of juice. The way they walk through the crowds without the heavy armor of their school reputations. For a few hours, they're just two kids losing themselves in the noise. Waku stops mid-step, the realization hitting him harder than any haunted house jump scare. Walking the festival with Oura-san is the best thing ever. He looks at her, hidden behind that rabbit face, and feels a surge of genuine gratitude that she decided to step out of her sister's shadow and into this mess with him. The stage lights go up, and the classroom chatter dies down. Earth-kun isn't just a classmate anymore. He's a tragic hero on a balcony, delivering lines that cut through the air. Waku and Oura-san watch from the darkness of the audience, the artificial drama on stage mirroring the very real, unspoken tension sitting between them in the rows. When the final curtain falls, Waku isn't just clapping, he's having a religious experience. His eyes are wide, his face flushed with the kind of awe usually reserved for miracles. Incredible! The performance didn't just end, it cracked something open inside him. And Oura-san is watching the cracks with a strange, quiet intensity. Waku is officially out of control. He's weeping openly, babbling about the power of storytelling while gripping a damp handkerchief. I need to go tell Earth-kun how I felt. He's on a mission, fueled by pure, unadulterated passion, dragging Oura-san along toward the drama club's dressing room. They navigate the cluttered hallways behind the stage, passing busy students and discarded props. Waku pokes his head through the door. the fire in his eyes slightly dampened by the sudden realization that he's actually barging into a professional workspace. He's searching for the boy who just moved his entire world. Earth-kun is already back to his casual self, leaning against a desk like he didn't just deliver a masterpiece. Waku is practically bowing, his voice thick with emotion as he explains, "I felt things." Earth just smiles, talking about wanting to stand in that zero position, the center of the stage, and Waku looks at him like he's staring at a god. Leaving the room, Waku is practically glowing. He's clenching his fists, his eyes sparkling with a new kind of fire. "I feel like I just met a huge star." Oura-san walks beside him, her blunt bangs hiding her eyes, but she's noting the way his energy has completely shifted. She's never seen him this alive. Waku stops, his hands behind his head, looking up at nothing in particular. This must be what it feels like to have your heart moved. He doesn't see Oura-san freeze. He doesn't see the way those words land in her chest, echoing in the silence of the hallway as she stares at his back. She repeats the words back to him, her voice barely a whisper. Waku, oblivious as ever, is already talking about giving it his all tomorrow, but Oura-san is stuck. She's looking at him, really looking at him, and the blush on her cheeks isn't from the festival heat anymore. Something in her is starting to shift gears. Back at the bunny maze, the chaos of the festival is starting to wind down. They return to their posts, greeted by the smells of a job well done. The classroom has been transformed into a temporary haven, and the energy is light as they prepare for the final Bunny Cafe celebration. The Bunny Cafe is officially open, and for Waku that means one thing: food. He's sitting at a desk, eyeing a tray of takoyaki like it's a sacred artifact. Yumeru is bouncing around, cheering for their success, but Waku's entire world is currently narrowed down to a single toothpick and some steaming octopus balls. He takes a bite, and for a second, everything is perfect. The takoyaki is hot, savory, and exactly what his adrenaline-drained body needs. But then he hears a rustle. He hears a voice telling someone to get out there, and as he turns his head, his brain prepares to reset entirely. Waku's takoyaki nearly hits the floor. Standing there in a fluffy white bunny hood, blushing furiously but trying to maintain her dignity, is Oura-san. It's a visual knockout. Waku's internal reaction is a wordless, high-frequency scream of HNNNG as his heart rate hits terminal velocity. She looks down, the rabbit ears drooping with her embarrassment, and Waku is fighting for his life. "So cute," screams his brain, but his social anxiety is already running a cost-benefit analysis. Is saying it aloud? Would he look like a creep? He just sits there, frozen, as she trots over with a second serving, his thoughts a chaotic mess of should I say that out loud? The rest of the group is heading out, leaving Waku behind to help with the cleanup. Yumeru isn't pulling any punches, calling him an idiot for his spacing out. But Waku doesn't care about the insult. He realizes that the punishment for his slowness is being left completely alone in the classroom with a girl in a bunny hood. The door closes, and the festival noise becomes a distant hum. Suddenly, the classroom is too small. Every clatter of a desk feels like a gunshot in the silence. Waku tries to focus on cleaning, his eyes darting anywhere but the divider where Oura-san is changing, his face burning with the sheer weight of their proximity. Then, her voice drifts from behind the curtain. Her hair is caught in the necklace clasp. She's asking for scissors, ready to just cut the hair off, but Waku's panic turns into a strange kind of bravery. He can't let her do that. He offers to take a look, his heart pounding against his ribs so hard it feels like it might actually burst. She turns her back to him, pulling her hair aside. Waku stares at the spot, the tiny silver clasp tangled in her dark strands. His vision is swimming, his brain is screaming hate what? At the sheer impossibility of the situation. He takes a breath that feels like fire and declares, "I can do it," with the intensity of a man going to war. His fingers are inches away from her skin, and he's currently undergoing a total mental collapse. "I absolutely cannot touch her nape," he tells himself, but his hands are shaking. The heat from her neck is radiating toward him, and he's desperately trying to imagine she's his little sister just to keep from fainting right there in the classroom. He focuses on the silver. Undo the clasp, get some space, don't look at her eyes, don't think about her breath. He's working with the precision of a watchmaker, but every second feels like a year. Beside him, Oura-san is just as still, her gaze fixed on the floor, her own heart echoing the rhythmic BDMP that fills the room. As he finishes, she speaks. her voice soft and heavy with sincerity. "I'm really thankful for today." She mentions how unimaginable this would have been a year ago. The festival, the fun, the crying. Waku looks at her, the clasp forgotten, caught in the gravity of a girl who finally feels like she's allowed to be herself. Waku can't help it. The atmosphere is too thick, the moment too real. He stammers out that she looked cute in the bunny hood. It's a messy, awkward compliment, but it hits her like a physical blow. She looks away, her blush intensifying, and for a second, the two of them are just suspended in the most comfortable tension imaginable. She whispers a final thank you, and for a brief moment, the empty classroom feels like the center of the universe. The sunset light is spilling through the windows, painting everything in gold, and for Waku, the academic failure and the hikikomori days feel a million miles away. The door bursts open, and the youth brigade is back. Yumaru is practically vibrating with energy, and her "wah" echoes through the room as she catches them in their intimate-looking cleanup session. Waku is instantly back to his panicking self, waving his arms around like a guilty man caught at a crime scene. The excuses are thin, and Yumaru clearly doesn't believe a word of it. But the day is over. They spill out of the school and into the cooling evening air. The festival flags are still fluttering, but the energy has shifted to the long, lingering walk home that defines every great high school memory. They stop for snacks, and Oura-san is trying desperately to maintain her stoic model image. She claims to be a light eater, but the energy of the day has left her running on empty. Beside her, Waku can practically hear her stomach calling for backup, a secret battle being fought between her image and her appetite. Even the normally strict Mishima-san is indulging, her glasses reflecting the streetlights as she overlooks the breach of school code for today. Earth-kun pops up out of nowhere, still riding the high of his performance, and for a moment, the group feels solid, a real circle of friends that Waku is finally a part of. Someone points at the sky, and they all stop. The stars are out, bright and cold above the city lights. It's one of those perfect cinematic moments that high schoolers think will last forever. And even Oura-san is looking up, her face softened by the glow. The world feels vast, but in this one patch of sidewalk, everything is perfectly sized. The stars aren't just points of light. They're witnesses to a day that Waku never thought he'd get to live. He looks at his friends, at the girl walking beside him, and the word youth finally feels like something he owns instead of something he's just observing. I truly could never have imagined any of this, he thinks. Just a year ago, he was a ghost in his own house, but tonight, he's alive in the starlight. He catches Oura-san looking at him. Her expression is unreadable, but her eyes are bright, reflecting the same stars that Waku is counting in his head. No words are needed. The connection is there, humming like a live wire as they reach the end of their path together for the night. Waku steps into his house, greeted by the familiar voice of his sister. He'd forgotten his phone at home, and the sudden return to his hikikomori reality is a bit of a jolt after the festival's high. He reaches for the device, expecting maybe a missed call or a generic notification. But the message on the screen isn't generic. It's from Mio, the girl from Ritsu-kun's circle. She's asking about Oura-san. She's asking if she went to grade school in Yamaguchi. And then the line that stops Waku's heart. I believe she doesn't have an older sister. The perfect day just collided with a massive, terrifying lie. Across town, Oura-san is already in her other life. The lights are blinding and the cameras are clicking. Her staff is marveling at how smooth her skin and hair look, how she seems to have a new kind of glow. They're joking that something good must have happened, and Oura-san just stands there, her eyes far away. A script is offered, a drama audition that she usually avoids like the plague. But the image of Waku's weeping, moved face is still fresh in her mind. I think I'd like to try. The decision stuns her staff. She's not just the Ice Queen anymore. She's a girl who wants to see if she can move someone's heart the way Earth-kun moved Waku's. Waku stares at his phone, his world tilting on its axis as the lie begins to unravel. And miles away, Oura-san looks into the future with a blush of genuine ambition. I was thinking that I might be able to move people's hearts. She has no idea that the boy who inspired her just found the crack in her story. She looks untouchable. In the bright lights of the studio, with every hair in place and that effortless cool pouring off her, Oura-san is the picture of a girl who has it all together. But the text vibrating in Waku's pocket just turned that picture into a jigsaw puzzle with missing pieces, because while she's posing for the world, The screen is screaming a truth that shouldn't exist. The girl who everybody knows has a secret that nobody knows. If Mio is telling the truth, then the girl Waku spent all day falling for is a ghost story built on a lie about a sister who isn't even there. Waku's quiet life just hit a brick wall in the form of a text message. One moment he's decompressing from the festival, and the next, his phone is vibrating with a secret that could dismantle everything he knows about the girl he's falling for. A former classmate claims Oura-san doesn't even have a sister, and if that's true, the girl Waku is protecting is built on a foundation of glass. His thumb hovers over the screen, trembling. What? Is all his brain can manage as the logic starts to fracture. He tries to type a defense, a reason why this must be a misunderstanding, but his fingers won't cooperate. Every tap on the glass feels like he's interrogating the person he wants to trust the most. In the end, the master of social anxiety retreats to the only defense he has, a confused dog sticker. He collapses onto his bed as the weight of the city night presses against his window. The silence of his room used to be a sanctuary, but now it's just a space for the questions to grow louder. The temptation is right there, glowing in the palm of his hand. One search for Acheron and he could verify the truth. But his heart is currently in a wrestling match with his curiosity. He stares at the ceiling, fighting the urge to dig into a life she hasn't invited him into yet. He doesn't want to be a detective. He just wants to be her friend. Morning comes with a headache and the inevitable chaos of school life. Waku tries to stay under the radar, but Yumaru is already in full-throttle fangirl mode. She slams a magazine down with a triumphant shout. Waku, look, it's Acheron! He's being buried alive by Acheron-branded enthusiasm. Yumaru is practically vibrating, shoving the spread into his personal space while he tries to maintain a poker face that is rapidly crumbling. Every mention of how cute the idol is feels like a jab at the secret he's currently choking on. He needs an exit, and he needs it 5 minutes ago. Waku studies the photo, the glossy, perfect version of the girl who shares cup noodles with him in the dark. The magazine describes her as mature and mysterious, but the image is cold. It doesn't have the warmth he feels when they're alone. Yumaru chirps about how she seems like a real adult, and all Waku can do is stare and realize the world doesn't know her at all. Before he can even process the image, Yumaru drops a bombshell. She has a ticket for a grand opening in Ikebukuro, and she's passing the torch to him. She leans in with terrifying intensity, eyes shining with a selfless obsession. You're gonna go to it in my stead. Waku is drowning in tickets and fan theories. Earth slides in with his trademark cool, making suggestions that only add to the pressure. Why don't Cha invite Oura-san to go with you? It's a logical question that feels like a trap. Every ping of a notification is like a tiny alarm bell going off in Waku's chest. He can't talk to Oura-san about her sister. It feels like picking at a wound. While Earth is busy striking poses and offering to be Waku's home screen model, Waku finally snaps. I'm not going to do that. He isn't just refusing a photo, he's fighting to keep the one real thing he has from becoming just another piece of gossip. The storage room is his only reset button. It smells like old gym mats and quiet, but the peace is short-lived. A soft hello breaks the silence, and there she is. Oura-san isn't the ice queen here. She's just a girl with a heavy bag and a shy blush, looking for a place where she can breathe. She's in a strangely high-spirited mood, and before Waku can blink, she's launching into a full-blown dramatic monologue. O fate, why dost thou lay this trial upon our meeting? It's absurd, it's theatrical, and it's the most alive she's ever looked. She's rehearsing for a future she's finally starting to claim for herself. The drama isn't just a game. She has a goal now, a secret she's keeping even from him. She admits that things are about to get busier with helping her sister, but she's determined to do her best. Waku watches her, her eyes clear and resolute, and he realizes he's looking at someone who's tired of being a supporting character in her own life. Waku takes a breath and asks the question that's been burning a hole in his mind. How do you feel about your sister? The air in the room instantly cools. He immediately tries to backtrack, waving his hands in a panic, but the silence hangs between them like a physical barrier. He just touched the third rail of her entire identity. She admits it softly, her gaze fixed on the floor. She wishes she could be more like her sister. But Waku isn't having it. He doesn't think, he just speaks, his voice cutting through her self-doubt with the force of an absolute truth. I've never once thought that you should be anyone but yourself. Oura-san. The tension breaks, replaced by a soft, ringing silence. Oura-san looks at him, her eyes shining with something more than just gratitude. A quiet thank you is all she says, but it feels like the loudest thing in the world. As they leave the storage room, the horizon is wide open, but the secrets are still waiting in the shadows. Cut to the concrete jungle. Waku is navigating the bright, overwhelming streets of Ikebukuro like a man on a mission he didn't sign up for. He's following Yumeru's digital orders, left, right, then burn the image of Akari into his retinas. He's trying to be a good fan, but he feels like an imposter in his own skin. He finds the store, and his soul nearly leaves his body. It's lilac color, and it is a pink-hued fortress of femininity. Waku is the only boy in a 50-yard radius, and every step inside feels like a trespass. That's asking too much, he thinks, but the mission is already in motion. He's hyperventilating, but then he sees her. Through the sea of shoppers, a glimpse of a headband and a perfect profile. It's the celebrity, the icon, the girl on the magazine cover. The pressure is suffocating, but he can't turn back now. He came to see the star, but he's looking for the girl. He stares until it hurts. She's a real celebrity, he realizes, mesmerized by the sheer distance between this person and himself. He commits every detail to memory, fulfilling Yumeru's request with a level of intensity that borders on the absurd. Retinal burn-in commenced. Now he just needs to get out of here before his heart explodes. He walks away, trying to convince himself that the person he just saw and the person he knows are two different people. That was someone else, he repeats like a mantra. But the logic is already starting to fray. He wants it to be a lie, because if it's true, the distance between them just became an abyss. The crowd erupts, Akari in. But Waku isn't looking at the stage anymore. He's looking at a girl in a cap and a mask trying to disappear into the masses. She's moving with a familiar urgency, and then he sees it, the bare keychain, the exact same one he's seen 100 times. The world stops spinning. Everything goes quiet. The screaming fans, the bright lights, the traffic, it all fades into white noise. There she is, not on the posters, not on the stage, but right in front of him, hiding in plain sight. It's a moment of absolute, terrifying clarity. His eyes fixate on the bear. He looks at her hair. He looks at the way she carries herself. Every piece of the puzzle clicks into place with a sickening thud. This isn't a sister. This isn't a coincidence. This is her. He stands there as the city continues to move around him, a ghost in the crowd. The scale of the lie is starting to sink in. He thought he was protecting a secret, but he didn't even know what the secret was. He's been standing next to a star the whole time, and she was too afraid to let him see the light. That's when it hit him. Not because of a magazine or a text, but because of the way she reached for her bag. The way she tried to be invisible. He sees her now, not as the idle Akarin, but as a person who is desperately trying to keep a version of herself alive while the rest of her was being sold to the world. He remembers her voice, hesitant and small. She's my older sister. It was a lie, a necessary one maybe, but a lie nonetheless. He revisits the memory of her face and sees the fear that was hidden behind those words. The fear that if he knew the truth, everything between them would change. She didn't want to disappoint anyone. She wanted people to keep supporting the image, even if the person behind it was disappearing. According to everyone else, that's the real her. But Waku knows better. He sees the girl who is curling up inside herself, trying to survive the weight of a world that only loves the mask. Everyone. Her mom, the fans. They'd hate her if she wasn't perfect. They'd hate her if she was just a normal girl. I wish I could be more like my sister, she had said, wishing she could be more like the lie they all believed in. Waku feels his chest tighten as the reality of her suffering finally lands. He's crying. Not because he was lied to, but because he can finally see the cost of the silence. He can see how much it hurt her to keep that barrier between them. He's a former shut-in who knows what it's like to hide, but she's been doing it in front of millions. He stands in the middle of the street, tears blurring his vision, while the crowd continues to shout her name. It's deafening, a world of people shouting for Akari, and not a single one of them looking for the girl who's currently walking among them, alone. The truth is a sledgehammer. There is no sister. There is no distance. Oura-san is Akarin. The night is cold and quiet as Waku walks through the city, the weight of the truth dragging at his heels. He's exhausted, his mind a static mess of magazines and keychains. He just wants to go home and forget everything, but fate has one more surprise waiting in the shadows of the station. A voice cuts through the quiet, "Waku," and he freezes. There she is, standing under a street lamp, her mask pulled down and her eyes wide with shock. It's the girl from the crowd, the girl from the storage room, the girl who is currently a world-famous idol and his classmate all at once. He's staring like he's seen a ghost, and she's trying to play it cool. "What a coincidence, meeting you here," she chirps, her voice trembling just enough for him to notice. She calls him Lucky Waku, unaware that he's currently carrying the weight of her entire world in his head. He panics. He can't let her know he knows, so he retreats into a bizarre, forced dahaha that echoes through the empty street. It's the least convincing laugh in human history, but it's all he's got. Oura-san just stares, her eyebrows twitching. "Are you in a position to say that, Oura-san?" He blames it on dust in his eyes, a cliché so weak it's almost painful. But as they walk together, he realizes why he didn't want the secret to be true. He didn't want her to be the idol. He wanted her to be the girl who could just be herself, without the costumes and the crowds. It wasn't about the secret. It was about the fact that she was constantly suffering. He sees the girl who is carrying a career on her back while she's still just a student, living a lie that's slowly erasing the person he's falling in love with. She stops and looks at him, her voice quiet. "Seeing your face made me falter a bit. It's a confession of how much he's started to matter to her. In a world of fake smiles and professional masks, Waku has become the one real thing that can actually reach her. He's her anchor in the storm." But then she smiles, a real blinding smile that isn't for the cameras. She's back to feeling 100% just because they're talking. It's the most beautiful thing Waku has ever seen, a glimpse of the girl behind the idol, radiant and happy just because he's there. He makes a choice right then and there. He isn't going to say anything. He isn't going to ask anything. If she wants to keep the mask on, he'll be the one person who respects the boundary. He doesn't need to know Akarin. He just wants to be with Oura-san. After all, Oura-san is simply Oura-san. They walk home through the quiet streets, two people sharing a secret that only one of them knows. He's not just a fan or a confidant anymore. He's the boy who knows her truth and loves her anyway. The turn is coming, but for tonight, they're just walking home together. Waku is lying in the dark, but his brain is currently a 24-hour news cycle running a single headline. He found the truth. Oura-san isn't just the sister of a star. She is the star. She's Akarin. And according to his phone, he's the only one who knows. His phone vibrates like a heart attack against the sheets. It's another message from Mio, the digital ghost haunting his conscience. "Did you find out if Oura-san is really Akarin?" Waku stares at the ceiling, his pulse thumping in his ears. He can't answer. He just tosses the phone aside and tries to pretend the world didn't just shift under his feet. The city is quiet, but Waku is screaming inside. He knows the secret, but he decides right now that he won't use it. He doesn't even understand his own feelings yet. How is he supposed to handle hers? For now, the secret stays buried under the suburban rooftops. New day. Same school. Entirely different weight on his shoulders. Waku marches through the halls with the stiff gait of a man who's definitely, absolutely 100% not hiding anything. He's going to respect her choice. She wants to be Aura Minori? Fine. He'll play the part. "Morning, Waku?" Yumeru bounces into his space, her twin tails practically vibrating with fangirl energy. She's desperate for a report on the Akarin event, completely oblivious to the fact that she's asking the world's most stressed-out man. He attempts to look casual while his eyes dart toward Oura-san's empty desk. She isn't here. Again. Yumeru shoves a magazine into his face, blushing like she's just seen a miracle. According to this, Akarin is aiming to become an actress. The girl in the photo looks untouchable, draped in celebrity air. Waku stares at the page, trying to reconcile that Akarin with his companion who eats cup noodles with him. Waku's heart does a backflip into his throat. If she becomes an actress, she'll be even busier. The what on his face isn't about her success, it's about her absence. He realizes with a jolt of panic that more popularity just means more days with that empty desk between them. Wouldn't that be lonely? The words slip out before he can stop them. Usually, he's the one holding back, but Yumaru beats him to it, wailing about how much she misses Oura-san. It's a moment of pure, unadulterated selfishness they both share. He's supporting her career, but he's dying for her company. Even Earth chimes in, leaning back with that effortless cool guy confidence. He notices Waku's downcast eyes and offers a smirk that's meant to be comforting but is mostly just Earth being Earth. "You've got me, you know, bud?" Waku is internally screaming that he definitely does not need Earth, but a small part of him is actually glad for the distraction. He needs it, because across town, the stakes are getting a lot more professional. The sign on the door says it all: TV drama audition. Behind the closed doors, Oura-san is standing before a panel of faceless judges. She's clutching her application like a lifeline, her knuckles white. She takes a breath, pushes down the fear, and projects the persona they expect. Ura Akari, 16 years old, managed by Werner. She pours everything into the performance, her eyes wide and searching for approval. But the industry is cold. A judge barely looks up, offering a dry, "Okay, thank you." She's left standing in the silence, the mask slipping just enough to show the exhaustion underneath. Back at the academy, the silence is deafening. Waku gazes toward the empty desk beside him, the fear creeping in that her life as a star is finally pulling her away for good. Is Oura-san never coming to school again? His classmates are planning a study session, but Waku's world is restricted to a small screen. Oura-san sends a text about missing school, followed by a random photo of a dog. It's so mundane, so her, that he nearly misses the conversation around him. What does everyone think of studying together? Wait, if they invite Oura-san to the library, that means public interaction? It means masks. It means he has to see her be the cool aura as she stands before everyone. His brain starts short-circuiting at the logistics. "You're coming too, right, Waku?" The group is already moving on, laughing and planning as if the world is simple. Waku watches them, feeling the divide. He sees the imaginary Oura-san in his mind, the one who belongs in the limelight. I hope she can come. Days bleed together. The classroom buzzes with a new normal that Waku isn't ready to accept. When Earth invites him to join the guys for lunch, Waku politely declines. He's not being antisocial, he's just waiting for a ghost. "I've kinda gotten hooked on eating outside of the classroom." Waku lies poorly, but Earth buys it with a knowing nod, figuring Waku's got a girl on the side. He's right, but not in the way he thinks. Earth then drops a curveball. Instead of gym, it's pool cleaning time. He retreats to the equipment room, his sanctuary. It's the one place where he doesn't have to perform. He eats his bento in the dusty quiet, a solitary ritual that feels like holding a seat for someone who might never return. The chime of the school bell cuts through the silence like a knife. Waku sighs, packing up his empty lunchbox. The piece is over. I've got to get ready for pool cleaning. He watches his classmates laughing in the distance, a sight that used to intimidate him. Now, he just feels hollow. He's grown used to her presence, to that secret bond. He stops mid-hallway, the realization hitting him hard. When did I become so spoiled? He's dwelling on the absence when a shadow falls across the floor. He isn't the only one wandering the halls during the transition. A figure moves toward him, familiar but impossible. Panic mode, engaged. Waku realizes he's the last one left in the changing room. He's stripping off his uniform and fumbling with his swim trunks, his ears ringing with the sound of his own heartbeat. I need to hurry. He slides the door open, ready to run, and then he stops. There, in the middle of the hallway. Long black hair, a slight blush on her cheeks, and that stoic look that hides a million things. It's her. She's actually here. Waku's breath hitches, his world suddenly snapping back into color. And then, she breaks. The stoic mask shatters as she waves her arms in a frantic, goofy blur of motion. No idle grace, no cool exterior, just Oura-san being a disaster. She's so happy to see him she's literally vibrating. They stare at each other, both of them burning up. The silence is thick with everything they haven't said since the festival. Finally, Oura-san manages to choke out the most basic sentence in history. Hey, it's been a while. Reality kicks back in. There's no time for a grand confession. They have pool cleaning to do. But Waku doesn't care about the schedule. He's practically floating. Every step he takes is a victory lap. Oura-san is here. She steps out into the light, pulling her hair into a ponytail with a hair tie in her mouth. It's a simple, everyday movement, but for Waku, it's everything. All the confusion about her being Akarin, all the secrets, they just evaporate. All that matters now is that she's here. They're speed-walking through the halls like two dorks, trying to beat the clock. Then, she drops the bomb. She mentions Akarin's audition. Waku's heart stops. Is she probing him? Does she suspect he knows the truth? Do you watch dramas? I don't watch TV at all. Waku lies through his teeth, his face a mask of concentrated sweat. Oura-san looks horrified. What kind of person doesn't watch TV? He's trying so hard to protect her secret that he's accidentally making himself look like a caveman. He can't stand the look of disappointment on her face. He stops, his voice firming up. He doesn't care about the logic anymore. I'll definitely watch Akarin's drama. Why? She demands, her own face turning a bright, frantic red. Waku can't tell her he knows it's her. He can't tell her he's her biggest fan. He just clenches his jaw and looks away. It's a secret. The sun hits the water, and they're left in the quiet of the pool deck. Oura-san hides her face in her hands, her world a mess of contradictions. The human heart is complicated. Waku just watches her, realizing she's right. It turns out, being late to gym has its perks. The pool is empty, just the two of them and a whole lot of scrubbing to do. Waku grabs a brush, eager to turn the awkwardness into physical labor. So, let's start cleaning. It's hard work, but they're doing it together. Oura-san starts dropping knowledge about squeegees and water drainage she learned from YouTube. In that brief moment, the idol and the student disappear, and it's just two kids scrubbing tiles under the sun. Scrubbing is boring. Revenge is much better. Oura-san grabs the hose and lets loose, drenching Waku in a split second. He stands there, dripping and stunned, while she smirks with pure, malicious glee. Time for payback. He retaliates, but the sight of her soaked through her shirt sends his brain into an immediate meltdown. She's shivering, her clothes clinging to her, and Waku is currently rebooting his entire nervous system. He's sorry, he's terrified, and he's definitely blushing. They're running, laughing, and hosing each other down like children. The world outside the fence doesn't exist. No managers, no sister, no fans, just Waku chasing a girl around a half-empty pool. Oh no, you're not running away. She turns around, the water spray catching the light, and smiles the most honest smile Waku has ever seen. It's not a pose. It's not for a camera. It's just for him. I missed you. Waku is frozen, the water still hitting him as her words sink in. He's been waiting for this for days. He grabs his own hose, a grin finally breaking through his awkwardness. Me too. The sun, the water, and her laughter. It's perfect. He says it again, making sure it lands. I missed you too. He watches her, realizing that all the masks she wears are just heavy armor. Here, soaked and barefoot, she's just a girl. Not a model, not a sister, just her, and she's having the time of her life. Maybe the lie was the only way she could find this. Maybe she just wanted to be able to play around and laugh without the pressure of the world watching. Waku decides then and there, if this is the price for that smile, he'll pay it every day. The piece is broken as the rest of the class spills onto the deck. Yumaru is already screaming their names, bringing the real world back with a vengeance. But the energy between Waku and Oura has already changed. Human emotions are always full of contradictions. Yumaru tackle hugs Oura-san, weeping about how much she missed her, while Waku stands to the side, dripping wet and completely at peace. He found his answers today. He knows what he has to do. I'm confident in the answers I found today for myself. Night falls, and Waku is back in his room, the same place he started the day. But the hesitation is gone. He picks up his phone, ready to deal with Mio. He's not going to let anyone peel back the mask Oura-san worked so hard to build. He types out the lie carefully. It seems like you're just mistaken. She really is only her little sister. He hits send, the screen glow reflecting in his eyes. He's not a fan anymore. He's the guardian of her secret. Okay, good. Lights, cameras, and a weight on her shoulders that has nothing to do with that kimono. Oura-san is getting her first taste of acting, and it's bitter. The crew is waiting. The director is watching. One deep breath and then the call that makes her heart stop. Action. She's trying, she's desperate, She delivers the lines about her grandma with everything she has, but the connection just isn't there. Then the word every novice fears. Cut. It's like a slap. A mechanical apology falls from her lips as the director sighs. They have to go again. Another take. Another failure. The director isn't being mean, he's being accurate, and that's worse. He tells her she's just reciting words, focusing too much on the script. You need to let them flow out naturally. Make them your own. She stares at the floor, the braids of her wig feeling like lead weights. A short break is called, but there's no relief in it. While the crew chats, Oura-san sits in the silence of her own head. Her knuckles are white as she grips her skirt. The distance between the cool model the world sees and the girl failing right now is a canyon she doesn't know how to cross. Back at school, the only drama is the upcoming tests. Yumaru is leaning in, wondering how a former dropout like Waku became the class's go-to study god. He's just trying to survive the attention without his brain short-circuiting. Waku tries to explain that concentration comes naturally, but to a girl like Yumaru, he's basically a wizard. The pierced girl has to tell her to pipe down before they get kicked out. Yumaru's response? A wink and a promise that it's all already in her head. Confidence is a hell of a drug. Oura-san joins the fray, but she looks like she's staring into an abyss. While the girls chat about math being ease-peasy, Oura-san's internal processor is currently smoking. Tests on top of lines on top of her secret identity? The poor girl is one formula away from a total system collapse. Waku offers a lifeline, but he knows study tips won't fix that look in her eyes. Around them, the class hierarchy is on full display. Yumaru is too busy swooning over her Akarin phone wallpaper to realize her idol is sitting 3 feet away, drowning in silence. Earth drops his motivation like a bomb. He wants to be rich. The girls are dazzled, finding weight in his words just because he's handsome. Earth remains completely unfazed, already moving back to his notes. In this room, everyone has a mask they're wearing for the future. Then, the scream. Yumaru's phone delivers the news that sets the library on fire. Akarin got the role. Waku's heart does a backflip. It's a big production, the main character's niece. The secret isn't just a secret anymore, it's a career, and everyone is watching. Yumaru is vibrating with joy, already looking forward to the premiere. Waku tries to play along, but his eyes are fixed on Oura-san. She hasn't moved. She hasn't smiled. She's staring straight ahead, her face a perfect, terrifying blank. He hates this. He hates the dour expression she has to wear whenever her sister's shadow falls over her. She's amazing for taking this on, but she's also alone in it. Waku clenches his jaw. It's time to kick his own life into gear and actually be the support he promised. Oura-san finally looks at him, and for a second, the mask slips. Just a flicker of "I feel that" in her eyes. Yumaru, oblivious as ever, rallies the troops to kick it into gear. The school day ends, but for Waku, the real work is just beginning. The walk home is a fever dream of half-spoken script lines. Oura-san is mumbling to herself, repeating the same scene over and over until the words lose meaning. Waku tries a classic line, "Maybe sleeping on it will help?" Her silent, dead-eyed response tells him everything he needs to know about that advice. Then, she drops a bombshell. "I need a hug." Waku's brain practically exits his skull. He's already imagining the physical contact when she clarifies. She has a stuffed animal that looks like him, and hugging that helps her. She's currently standing on a street corner hugging the air, a physical manifestation of her stress. She trudges away, a tiny figure under the evening sky, and Waku is left reeling. She's exhausted, she's frayed, and she's looking for comfort in stuffed versions of her friends. He can't just stand there. He needs to find something that actually helps. He turns to the resident expert on girls, his sister May. She suggests sweets, but Waku knows that's a non-starter with Akari's strict diet rules. He's trying to be vague, but May's already smelling a rat. Or a romance. Why not ask her if she has something she wants to do? May's solution is simple. Greenery. Apparently, when their mom needs healing, she surrounds herself with plants, or takes pictures of a new Starbucks drink for no reason. Waku doesn't get the logic, but he has a mission. There's a huge park nearby. It's a plan. May smells blood in the water. Are you planning a date, maybe? Waku's denial is loud enough to wake the neighbors. He's just trying to comfort a friend. But May is already picking out his clothes in her head. She tells him to do a rehearsal run first. The pressure is mounting from all sides. And so, the rehearsal begins. Waku finds himself at the park, wearing the clothes Mei chose, slurping a drink and feeling like a complete idiot. He's surrounded by greenery, but the only thing he's feeling is the intense social anxiety of being alone in a place meant for couples. He tries to take a photo of the trees. Snap. He looks at the screen. It's just a picture of some branches. What's so fun about this? Across the path, two girls are celebrating their own photos, practically vibrating with likes. Waku is an alien in a land of aesthetic filters. He gets it now. You have to go all out. He starts posing the drink, trying to find that healing vibe, but his brain is still screaming in confusion. Then, the real world intrudes. Someone mentions a drama filming nearby. Waku's heart stops. Not here. Not now. The crowd is buzzing. Wait, that's Matsunaga Yuri. Waku pushes through, his eyes searching. And there she is. Standing in the center of the gear and the crew, Oura-san is back in her braids, back in her character, and looking more lost than ever. His survival instinct kicks in. I need to hide. He dives into the shrubbery, heart hammering against his ribs. He can hear the director calling for another take. They've been at this all day, and Oura-san hasn't found her rhythm yet. She looks like a statue in a storm. From behind the leaves, Waku watches the disaster unfold. She tries to smile, but it's brittle. The director is rubbing his temples. Oura-san is clutching her script like a life preserver, her eyes fixed on words she can't make real. The silence from the crew is deafening. She tries another take, a wider smile, but it's even more painful to watch. The director stops the scene mid-sentence. He's drinking coffee just to stay awake, while Oura-san stands there, a pro who is currently crumbling under the gaze of a dozen strangers. Then the whispering starts. The crowd is getting bored. That model girl's having a hard time, huh? She's so stiff. Waku's grip on his bag tightens. They don't know. They don't know how hard she's trying, how much she's hiding. She looks like she's about to break. He can't just watch her fail. He knows he should stay hidden, keep the secret, play it safe. But Oura-san is currently drowning in a sea of judgment, and she needs a lighthouse. He takes a deep breath, ready to burn his own reputation to give her a spark of focus. He charges out. Holy crap, are you guys filming a drama? It's loud, it's obnoxious, it's the exact opposite of Waku. The crowd recoils, the crew freezes. Oura-san's eyes go wide, her braids swaying as she turns toward the chaos. He's officially become the center of attention. He doesn't stop. OMG, it's Akaran. I'm a big fan. He's blushing furiously, his voice cracking, playing the role of the obsessed fan with terrifying commitment. The security guard is already moving in, but Waku's eyes are locked on Oura-san. Look at me. Forget them. As he's being dragged away, he delivers the payload. You can do it, Akaran. It echoes through the trees, a single voice cutting through the professional silence. Oura-san stands motionless, a small figure in a wide, watching world, suddenly gifted a reason to believe in the mask she's wearing. Their eyes meet across the clearing. Waku is gasping for air, his face burning with a mix of shame and hope. Oura-san is still, her expression unreadable to anyone else, but Waku sees the change. The stiffness is gone. The focus has returned. A tiny, almost invisible smile touches her lips. It's not the scripted one. It's not the model one. It's for him. She takes a breath, the weight of the production suddenly feeling a little lighter because someone in the crowd is rooting for the girl, not the idol. She looks down at her script, and the lines finally belong to her. The director can see it too. The energy has shifted. Waku is being hauled off like a common criminal, still shouting apologies, but he's already won. He's given her the one thing the set couldn't, a piece of home. The director sighs, muttering about those types of fans. But he's not complaining about the results. Oura-san is ready. She closes her eyes, lets the noise of the park fade away, and becomes the character. For the first time all day, she's not pretending, she's acting. She delivers the line, it's perfect, and action flows into a performance that leaves the crew breathless. And while she's owning the spotlight, Waku is currently setting a new land speed record running in the opposite direction. His social life might be over, but he doesn't care. He's practically weeping with embarrassment. I can't believe I did that. He was supposed to be the cool, supportive friend, and he ended up as a screaming lunatic in a Starbucks hat. He just hopes she didn't figure him out. He just wants her to be her. Back within the safe walls of the school, Waku finds his way to their secret storage room. It's quiet here, far from the cameras and the crowds. Oura-san is already there, eating her lunch with the same stoic grace as always. He enters tentatively, his heart still a little jumpy. She seems fine, which is a relief. She's actually in a good mood, eating her food with focus. Waku wonders if she still needs comforting at all. He hesitantly brings up the park again, wondering if she wants to go for real this time, minus the cameras. Her reaction is instantaneous. Yes, please, I want to be comforted. She's practically shouting, her arms spread wide in a gesture Waku can't quite parse. He's stunned. He was expecting the usual stoicism, but she's vibrating with a need for connection that he's only just beginning to understand. She looks at him with a gaze that feels like it's peeling back his layers. Definitely, she says, her voice firm, in the cramped silence of the storage room. The distance between them feels incredibly small. Waku is suddenly very aware of the way she's looking at him. Oura-san asks if it's supposed to be a date, and Waku's brain goes into full emergency mode. No, that's not how I meant it, he's babbling, trying to explain that he just wanted to help her calm down. She goes quiet, slurping her drink with a look that might be disappointment, or maybe just realization. A quiet thank you escapes her as the school bell rings. The moment is over. Time to go back to being a transfer student and a model's little sister. They stand up, the boxes and equipment around them feeling like silent witnesses to the strange bond they're building. Waku turns to leave, and then the world stops. Two arms wrap around his waist from behind. It's warm, it's solid, and it's completely unexpected. His heart doesn't just pound, it thunders. Every social rule he knows is currently being rewritten in real time. His brain is a tangled mess of wires. She's using me as a replacement for the stuffed animal. Is that what the weird gestures were about? He's on the verge of an actual cardiac event. It's fine and all, but he's pretty sure he's about to die right here in the storage room. Then her voice, muffled against his shirt, drops the real truth. And thank you for rescuing me when I was Akari too. She knew. She knew it was him in the park, and she knew why he did it. The mask didn't work on him, and he didn't care about the mask. The panic dies down, replaced by a warmth that has nothing to do with the temperature. He stands there, frozen, but his heart is finally beating in sync with hers. She's leaning into him, vulnerable and real, trusting him with the girl behind the model. He doesn't have a grand speech. He doesn't have a clever line. He just speaks from the heart. You're welcome. In the quiet of the storage room, the secret isn't a burden anymore. It's theirs, and for the first time, it feels like enough. The heavy burden of the secret is gone, replaced by the rhythmic tap of two pairs of shoes hitting the pavement. They're walking home together. No crowds to hide from, just the quiet suburban streets, and the reality that Waku finally knows the girl behind the idol. Oura looks serene, but Waku's still catching up to the fact that his normal life just got a whole lot more complicated. Waku's internal monologue is spinning, wondering if he really is the only one in their world who's figured it out. He's looking at her, trying to find a trace of the celebrity, but all he sees is a girl walking home from school. Then she stops the wandering thoughts dead. She doesn't even turn around as she asks, "When did you realize that I was Akari?" He takes her back to that day at the clothing store, when he went in Maki-san's place. It wasn't some grand deduction. It was the little things. He saw the model Akarin leaving, and he saw a tiny, stuffed bear clipped to her bag. The exact same one he'd seen her with at school. He thought maybe it was just a popular item, but in his gut he knew it was her. Waku admits his intuition just took over. Something told him it had to be her. Oura stops, her gaze dropping to the pavement as a blush creeps across her cheeks. The intimidation is completely gone. Softly, she admits the truth of her own heart. To be honest, I'm kind of glad. She looks up, and for the first time her eyes aren't guarded by her sister's shadow. She's glad because she doesn't have to lie to him anymore. Waku's brain practically short-circuits at the sincerity, and he starts gesturing wildly, yelling about her being completely unmasked. She lets out a rare, genuine laugh that sounds like a victory. They're both vibrating with nervous energy as they try to nail down a plan for Saturday. It's a park date, but they're both too terrified to actually use the word. Waku suggests a morning meeting, and Oura agrees before he can even finish the sentence. He tries to play it cool by suggesting a Starbucks run, but the visible sweat on his forehead tells a different story. So much for the fancy coffee plan. Oura mentions she'll just grab a water bottle since she hasn't had a proper day off in forever. Waku's panic level spikes. He needs this to be perfect. He's staring at her, paralyzed by the responsibility until she gives him that wide, beaming smile. I'm really looking forward to it. Waku's got that fire in his eyes now. This isn't just a walk in the park anymore. It's a mission. He's going to gather data, build a game plan, and ensure she has the best day she's ever had. He's practically clenching his fist as he stalks through the school halls, a one-man scouting party. He starts his research with the experts, or, well, Yumeru. He asks what she'd want to do at a park, and she shuts him down with a laugh and a brutal nothing. I wouldn't go, it's boring there. Mishima-san tries to save the day by suggesting reading, but Yumeru's already moved on to calling that so boring. Next up, the pierced girl, who actually has a soul. She likes the park when she's feeling overwhelmed, just closing her eyes and letting the information overload drain away. Waku's taking mental notes like his life depends on it. Then Earth slides in with a wink, suggesting tennis, which Waku immediately tosses into the definitely not pile. Late at night, the research continues. He's logged into the game, asking Ritsuki for a woman's perspective. Her advice? Buy a mountain of McDonald's and see who can eat the most. Waku stares at his screen in despair. Fly kites? Blow bubbles? He's grasping at straws, trying to find the magic, healing moment May talked about. He finds a YouTube channel showing off huge bubbles and the light bulb finally goes off. That's it, big bubbles. He's out on his balcony at midnight, dipping a wand into a mix he made himself. He's treating this like a chemistry experiment, measuring soap ratios and checking surface tension, wondering if he can make them even bigger. His sister May appears like a ghost in the doorway, staring at her older brother blowing bubbles into the night. Oni, what are you doing? Waku jumps out of his skin, trying to explain the emotional significance of the bubbles. May just stares at him with dead eyes and drops the ultimate question. How old are you? While Waku is worrying about soap and water, Oura is in another world entirely. The city lights stretch out below her, a constant reminder of the career she's trying to balance with her school life. She's staring at a promo for her new drama, A Boat in the Evening Calm, her name written in big, intimidating letters. The cameras are snapping, the questions are constant, and Oura is performing perfectly. She tells the reporters she was in shock when she got the role, but she's glad for the opportunity. She's wearing the headband, the professional smile, the whole Acheron mask. She looks untouchable, but we know she's just counting down the minutes until Saturday. After the press con, there's no rest. Her manager has already made a reservation at a fancy French place. Her colleagues are all smiles and excitement, but Oura is trailing behind, her expression flat. They're talking about luxury cuisine, but you can tell she traded all for a cup of cheap noodles and a quiet moment with a dork who blows bubbles. The table is set with expensive crystal and sparkling wine. They're planning trips to roppongi, accessory shops, and drinking parties for their day off. Oura just sits there, silent, the Acheron persona still firmly in place. She doesn't mention the park. She doesn't mention Waku. She keeps her world small and private, tucked away behind those stoic eyes. Meanwhile, back in reality, Waku is losing a war against physics. Pop, 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 every bubble he blows bursts before it even leaves the wand. Dang it. He's surrounded by different wands and bowls of soap, muttering about ratios and gum syrup. He looks like a mad scientist, but the only thing he's successfully making is a mess on his floor. And then, success. A massive shimmering orb of soap film grows from the wand. Waku looks like he just discovered fire. The power of science is amazing. He's exhausted, yawning as the sun starts to rise, but he's ready. He just hopes Oura-san will find this half as exciting as he does after he spent 8 hours on it. Saturday arrives with a sky so blue it looks painted. They're finally here, walking through the greenery. Waku is acting like he's never seen a tree before, shouting about the nature while carrying a backpack that's mostly homemade bubble juice. Aura's hidden behind a mask and a cap, but her eyes are bright. She's finally out in the world and she isn't Akari. She pulls her mask down, breathing in the fresh air. She spots some yellow flowers and Waku immediately looks them up on his phone. Golden Cup St. John's wort. Never heard of it, but he says it with the confidence of a botanist. Oura smiles, realizing there's no one around to recognize her. She can just be herself, even if herself is just a girl looking at weeds with a nerd. Waku catches himself wondering if they're basically an old married couple already. Identifying plants? Sitting on benches? What are we old? He's panicking about the lack of youth until Oura pulls out a picnic blanket. He's standing there with his backpack full of bubbles, wondering if this is really okay, but she's already setting up their little camp. They settle on the grass, the breeze rustling the leaves. Oura looks down, her voice getting quiet as she tells him there's something she wants to do. Waku's mind goes to a million different places, mostly romantic ones, until she pulls out a stack of papers. Huh? Is this the script for your drama? He completely forgets his secret bubble weapon as he focuses his attention on the task ahead. She wrote these practice lines herself, based on a popular show. He reads the role of Kuki. I want you to look only at me. Waku's face is currently the color of a ripe tomato. This is beyond embarrassing. He's screaming internally that this is too much to read, but Oura looks so sincere, so hopeful, that he can't possibly say no. He takes a deep breath and dives in. If he's going to do this, he's going to do it with 110% effort. He's clutching the script, his voice trembling as he delivers the lines. I can't stand to be apart anymore. He's practically shouting them into the trees, his eyes squeezed shut, trying to ignore the fact that these words are exactly what he's feeling in real life. Waku stops midline, realizing she's actually having fun. You're really enjoying this, huh? She blushes, telling him to please continue. His heart is thumping against his ribs. BDMP. BDMP as he makes an effort to look only at her, just like the script says. She looks back, her eyes wide and shimmering, and for a second, the script isn't there. It's just them. The moment breaks when Waku realizes he's the only one talking. He checks the pages. His character has a monologue while hers just has ... I'm the only one with any lines. Oura just gives him a stoic look, explaining that she's practicing her body language. Waku sighs, knowing he's been played, but he can't exactly argue when it makes her look that happy. The silliness fades as Oura looks down at her hands. She admits she didn't want him to know the truth about Acheron because she was terrified that something would change between them. Waku looks at her, his voice steady for once. Nothing's changed. He means it. She isn't Acheron to him. She's just the girl sitting next to him on a blanket. She turns to him, the distance between them feeling non-existent. She's done hiding. She's done with the secrets. With a look of absolute determination, she tells him, now I want you to know everything. It's an invitation into the real world she lives in, and she's trusting him to hold the key. Waku doesn't hesitate. I want to know everything. He's not a fan looking for gossip, he's a friend, maybe more looking to understand. They're sitting there in the dappled sunlight, the world of celebrity gossip and school hierarchy feeling a million miles away. Just two people, a backpack, and a promise. Waku admits he's going to look up everything about Acheron when he gets home. He needs the data. Oura leans back, her eyes fluttering shut. She's been doing nothing but watching plays and movies to study for her role. Finally, just relaxing in the sun feels like the greatest luxury she's had all year. He observes her peaceful face and then looks down at his backpack. He racked his brain for hours, stayed up all night to perfect those bubbles, all because he wanted to comfort her. Now that she's actually comfortable, the bubbles seem kind of silly. He realized he didn't need a trick to help her, he just needed to be there. He lets out a long breath and just flops backward onto the blanket. Sprawling out and closing your eyes feels good. Oura blinks in surprise watching him just give in to the laziness of the afternoon. He's taking his own advice, letting the stress of the secret keeping and the bubble making finally drain away into the grass. He tells her what Shindu-san said, that closing your eyes prevents information overload. Oura fixes her gaze on him, really looks at him, before she slowly lies down beside him. They're side by side now, the world reduced to the sound of the wind in the leaves and the heat of the sun on their skin. The bubbles are forgotten, everything else is too. The canopy of trees above them creates a shifting pattern of light and shadow. Oura lets her eyes drift shut, her breathing evening out. For a girl whose life is defined by bright studio lights and camera flashes, the natural, soft glow of the afternoon is a literal relief. She's finally letting go, drifting off into a quiet that she hasn't felt in months. The sun is high, and the only sound is the rustle of the leaves. Oura whispers, "Yeah, this is nice." Beside her, Waku is already gone, The long night of bubble practice has finally caught up to him. He's out cold, his mouth slightly open, the ultimate picture of uncool relaxation. And Oura, she wouldn't have it any other way. Waku is snoring, completely unaware of his surroundings. Oura sits up, looking down at his sleeping face with a mix of amusement and something softer. She reaches out, a finger extended, and tentatively pokes his cheek. Poke. He doesn't move. She does it again, and again. She's treating him like a curious specimen, her own little secret discovery. She leans in closer, her hair falling around her face. She's watching his rhythmic breathing, her hand reaching out to gently tug at the fabric of his sleeve. The distance is gone. She's looking at him with an intensity that would scare him to death if he were awake, her cheeks flushed with a heat that has nothing to do with the sun. They're a little island in the middle of the park. 2 students, a discarded backpack, and a script that's finally served its purpose. Oura is leaning over him, a quiet guardian of his sleep. In this moment, there are no models, no hikikomoris, no sisters, and no secrets. There's just the quiet truth of 2 people who finally found someone they don't have to lie to. Inside Waku's head, the park is glowing with a dreamlike light. Oura is leaning over him, her voice a soft whisper that echoes the script. "Thank you, I really." Her hands are reaching for his, her eyes wide and full of something he's too terrified to name in the waking world. It feels real. It feels like the moment he's been waiting for his entire life. And then, the internal alarm goes off. Waku jolts awake with a shout that probably scared every bird for 3 miles. Wah! He's hyperventilating, his heart hammering against his ribs as he realizes he was just dreaming. He's staring at the sky, gasping for air, wondering where the dream ended and the actual Oura-san begins. But the dream wasn't completely off. He realizes Oura-san is actually inches from his face, having been leaning over him when he woke up. She's frozen, her eyes wide in shock at his sudden explosion of movement. Waku's brain practically leaves his body. He scrambled backward, let out another whoa, and nearly falls off the blanket in a fit of pure, unadulterated embarrassment. To make matters worse, there are people nearby, random parkgoers watching the chaos. "Ash, there are people here." Waku grabs the script and shoves it over Aura's head to hide her face, then flops back down like he's trying to merge with the earth. It was supposed to be a peaceful healing day. Instead, it's a public spectacle. Life is like a dream, sure, but Waku's currently living a hilariously loud one.